What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Terror Table for episode 134. My name is Mitch, one of your regular hosts that you hear every single week, and alongside me, as always, I got...
Buzi.
And we are a horror podcast that is presented by the Saskatoon Podcast Network, who's currently sponsored by Connexus. And so you can find us on the saskpodcast.ca. You can find a whole bunch of other cool podcasts on there, so go and check that out. Follow them on Instagram and check them out on Facebook. And today we're going to be talking about Dog Soldiers.
Yeah.
We're going to be doing a Neil Marshall retrospective
just kind of a mini one.
Yeah, because next week, are we going to do The Descent next week?
Yeah.
Okay, so next week we're going to do The Descent. This is how we plan things.
On the fly, live.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about Neil, because Neil Marshall's done, I'd say, 2 horror movies. But it's weird that people still kind of think of him, like we think of him as a horror director, kind of.
But he's way surpassed all that
stuff.
Well,
he's gone on to direct some of the most famous episodes of Game of Thrones. He directed the recent Hellboy Pile of Filth. He directed Centurion, Doomsday.
I forgot he did Doomsday.
Yeah, I want to watch Doomsday again while we do this. I remember really liking it when it came out.
I remember being very mad on it. It's like a bad Mad Max.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but we're going to talk all about Neil Marshall and one of Buzi's favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, actually the next 2 weeks are movies I really love, so that's kind of a spoiler, but...
Yeah. So we're going to be... doing all that, and but before that, we're going to do our normal thing where we're going to talk about what we've been seeing and what we've been up to. We're going to share some sneak peeks of the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival. We have some announcements for maybe movies you're going to see next month.
It was broached to us as sneak peeks.
Yeah, because they're things that are pretty much locked in. Like, they're pretty much... It's good.
Yeah. If you ever have to do anything with a film fest, you kind of realize that...
anything can happen.
Yeah, basically...
It's the Wild West out here.
Right up until the end, you're never for sure. Because a lot of times studios will just be like, yeah, we said you could have that, but we're just going to pull that right off. Or, it's especially if they get picked up by a larger film fest. Yeah. Because Saskatoon is what it is. So,
exactly. And anyone out there wondering... Trust me, I've been fighting for it, and I've been trying to keep the spirit of Glenn Danzig's new movie alive. I've been trying to get it, and it does not look good. It looks like they're trying to bury it. No one's talking about it anymore. I still want to see it so badly. Like, I haven't heard anyone... Have you heard anyone mention it?
Other than you?
Really? Yeah. That's hilarious.
You know how, Diego was with Kuso? This is you with that movie?
Really? Oh my God.
Except you haven't seen it?
Exactly. I just want to see Danzig... Anything but Danzig is fucking awesome to me. Okay, but also, let's just get to it. We got so much stuff to talk about, so I'm gonna kick things off. We're just gonna get on a roll here, and we'll just fucking go on the fly. Happy birthday, John Allison!
Happy birthday!
I wanted to give him we were just with him, but I wanted to give him a non-air shout out because that motherfucker. We went to Hex last weekend, so we're gonna talk about that as well. Buzi and I went with our group of Dark Bridges crew to the Halloween Entertainment Expo in Calgary. So we'll talk about that. But on the last day, we're getting ready to leave. And John, I can't even remember, what did he say in the morning? He's just like, I'm getting so many notifications on my phone.
You guys, I think, were in a different room getting ready. And we're just sitting there, and we're all getting ready to leave. It's 7:30, 8 in the morning. Yeah. And he's like, I keep getting all these notifications on Facebook, and I can't figure out how to look at them all. And I'm like, why are you getting so many notifications? Oh, it's my birthday. just like...
We're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I would have brought you a dick cake or something.
Or those little gummy wieners.
Yeah. Imagine doing that for John. That would be so much funnier to do something so stupid.
Then you have to insist that he eats them in front of you. You know when you buy someone a shirt, and you're like... Put it on. Come on, put it on. He's like, no, I'll put it on later.
It makes it way, way, way funnier when you know John. But me and Buzi were talking about this off air, that we love seeing John's limits.
We like pushing his buttons just to see, because he's so far calm.
He's never once broken.
Yeah.
He's never once been too far. like it's just he's one of those guys that it's fucking hilarious to do that stuff.
He's part T1000.
Yes.
Also, everyone who went to Hex with us has been on the podcast.
Yeah. So
we had Darcy, who was on the pod. I can't remember what episode he was on for.
He was on for what the fuck? Night of the Virgin.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Tara, which is your sister, who is part of book club.
Yeah.
Courtney, your girlfriend, who is also part of book club.
Yes.
And then John Allison, who's been on several times. I think he's been on 3 times, something like that. Yeah.
And John's going to be on again, obviously, plenty of times, especially next month when we're going to be talking about the film festival, which we'll get to right away here. Moving on from that, so this coming Thursday, if you're listening to this at the time of its release, this Thursday,
which is the 24th,
with the Terror Table and Dark Bridges and the Terror Table are presenting, and the Broadway Theatre are presenting John Carpenter's Halloween at the Broadway Theatre.
Yeah, that'll be at 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
And then the next night, which is the 26th, 25th, yeah.
You just skipped the next night, which is the 38th.
The next night we will be playing Evil Dead, first time in 4K in Saskatoon.
Dude, I am so excited for that. Like, it's funny because like we're technically like, it's not work, definitely not work.
No,
it's like kind of work, but like not like it's like we're expected to do stuff. But I'm like just more so excited to just watch Evil Dead on 4K in 4K on the big screen. Like I'm so fucking excited.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because we will kind of go up there, do a little bit of a demo, talk to people, and then we'll go and sit and watch with you guys. So it's a little bit of best of both worlds for us.
Totally.
Also, so if you want tickets, you can get them right now at the Broadway Theatre, or just, if you want beforehand, or you can just pick them up at the door of the nights.
Apparently, you can't get them.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, because did Jeff bitch to you about that too?
This is how I know you can. Jeff asked me, and I said yes. He went down there. The lady who was working there, they had just gotten the tickets that day, and she hadn't been informed of it. So she said, no, we don't have them. So Jeff texts me while he's driving away huffing and puffing.
Oh, yeah. He's
and
I
messaged John, and I'm like, why are the tickets not there? So then he's messaging people. So it finally gets back is that one person was misinformed. It's not really anybody's fault.
But get them.
Yeah.
No, okay, well, either way then, I guess you can get them $10 for a single screening or $15 for both. It's going to be amazing. Do you want to do the festival sneak peeks right now?
Sure.
So these are movies that I think when we had John and Jeff on, that Jeff Drake, our other festival boy, when we had him on, we had talked about a couple of these. But so as of right now, the lineup, sneak peeks, we have Come to Daddy, which is the Elijah Wood movie, which is the Spectre Vision movie, Elijah Wood, Daniel Noah, the guys who put out Mandy. I believe they also put out Daniel Isn't Real, which is another movie that we'll be showing. Extraordinary, Greener Grass, and then we have The Burbs, Gremlins, and The Howling.
Which are all for our Joe Dante.
Because, we got Joe Dante and Belinda Blasky coming here.
I like how you just said it so offhandedly.
Yeah, Joe Dante and Belinda Blasky, director.
Joe Dante is just going to fucking be there.
All of these movies is going to be here, and Belinda Blasky of Gremlins and The Howling will be here. So they'll be and then after that we'll be doing Drunken Cinema, we'll be showing Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah,
and it's our first Drunken Cinema here.
Yeah,
and it's been going on in quite a few other places, so we kind of finally got in on that. And there actually is like a drinking game. They don't just like force you to sit there and watch Nightmare and drink. There's like rules and stuff, and it's supposed to be like
they give you we're gonna be giving you like cards and shit. Yeah, and there's gonna be teams.
It sounds like it's a big party.
It's definitely for people who have seen Nightmare on Elm Street multiple times, which I think you should have by now. If it's been a while since you've seen Nightmare on Elm Street, fucking watch that movie. It's so goddamn good. Going on from that, The Wretched.
Yep.
And then I don't know what John... So this is something that John definitely didn't think about when he brought us on. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Do you know what the fuck that movie is called?
Jellicadu.
Jellicadu.
It's either Jellicadu or Jellicadu, and if it's neither of those, then I'm really sorry.
Going on, The Vast of Night.
And then one we're most excited
for... This is the highlight of the festival this year.
Butt Boy.
So you heard that right, folks. The movie is called Butt Boy, And if you want to look it up on Wikipedia or IMDb, I encourage you to do so.
It sounds like a lot of fun.
It's going to be awesome.
It has to do a lot with a guy who uses his butt for good to defeat evil, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, so it's kind of the movie we've all been waiting for.
My lost script from MySpace.
Exactly. The one, actually, I think this is the one I'm most excited for, is The Color Out of Space. So we'll be showing the Richard Stanley movie, once again, Spectre Vision produced movie. This is the movie where, Spectre Vision just gave Richard Stanley a bunch of money to make an H.P. Lovecraft movie. So I'm pretty damn excited for it. Nicolas Cage is apparently Nicolas Cage in it. So I would say take my money, but I'll be seeing.
Remember when we were talking about the McConaissance? This has kind of been like the Cage-assance.
Oh
the
my
last
god,
little
man!
while.
I've been waiting for that my entire life. Like, bring Con Air 2 and 3. Like,
who do you think's going to be the next Assance?
Well, we already had Keanu. Keanu was recently. Neil Patrick Harris, I'd say, did that before.
He was big too recently. Like, I feel like a lot of these guys are like.
I'm trying to think of who's
Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's gonna hit a treadmill.
No, man. Val Kilmer,
he's gonna quit eating donuts. He's gonna get in
he
decent
is a bloated
shape.
corpse.
He's gonna get in like dad bod shape, not really good shape, and then come back and he'll do like there's gonna be like another version of like True Detectives or something, and he's gonna be.
Oh my god!
Come on.
No, or they're gonna reboot the Nutty Professor, and it's gonna be Val Kilmer. Okay, yeah, and then we have The Wave. Who Let the Dogs Out, which I'm very excited for. This is like a short documentary, but it's about like all of these people who truthfully believe that they wrote the song Who Let the Dogs Out. And I might not be selling it perfectly here, but I know that it's going to be amazing.
Okay, when you were a kid, I'm pretty sure every kid that was in our age demographic liked Who Let the Dogs Out at some point. Thought that was like a fun song.
I was just talking about it yesterday, about how that was a classic, like, pump up the hockey team.
Yeah, but like, can you imagine that like years later we'd get a fucking documentary? That's where we are in society, that it's like, let's delve deep into Who Let the Dogs Out.
What really pissed me off about this is like, okay, so all respect to the entire team of programmers and the hardworking team behind the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival. But like, I know that there's always so many documentaries, but they're the people who got us abducted in plain sight last year. So they clearly know to pick the right movies, and I totally trust them that Who Let the Dogs Out is going to be awesome. And now that it's been explained to me, I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be rule. But I know that there's like Ghostbusters doc out there, and I'm just like, we're showing fucking Who Let the Dogs Out. But now that I think about it, I'm like, this is going to be amazing. So I'm very, very, very excited for that movie. In Fabric and Jesus Shows You the Way to the Highway, which is
that
the one.
I think that one's the one that most recently got locked up.
Yeah.
Or
locked in, yeah, or not fully locked in, but it's looking really good. That's one I know Jeff and John, both the other guys in the film festival, I know that they're very passionate about that movie. So people should be excited for those. So there's so many exciting things happening. I guess we can just quickly touch on our time in Hex and then go on to what we've been seeing. But Downo, do you want to go first, or?
Sure. So we got into, I can't remember what time you guys got into Calgary, but
pretty early.
Okay.
Yeah.
We got in around 5 o'clock, which was Darcy, John, and myself. I was super tired and slept a lot in the truck just because I had gotten back from Toronto the night before, like super late. Anyway, so we got to Hex, and I didn't realize we were going to be going.
Also, sorry,
night.
you need, or are you planning on talking about the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can go back to that.
Okay.
So we all got there and decided we were going to go check out Hex the first night.
Yeah.
Which I didn't realize we were going to do. And
fuck.
Man, as soon as we got there, like, we were there for quote unquote business, kind of.
Yeah.
But it just turned, like, I just turned into a little child and just ran away.
I know.
Like,
The spirit just, it gets directly into your blood and in your veins.
Well, I mean, it's like...
we don't get shit like that.
No.
That's why we're working on doing this. We're really trying to make this happen.
You know when kids go into, like, Rutgers when they're a little kid? And as soon as they get in the door, they just
We did that, too.
Yeah, we did that, too. We're like, yeah.
We went to a huge arcade in Calgary as well.
We did that the next night, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, so it really was, like, a dream kids trip.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, the venue was, like... It was dark in there, and they, like, had, like, a whole...
It had, like, fog machines going.
Fog machines and, like, huge setups of, like, they had that big Krampus thing that got really annoying. That was like strangling
it was
that
this giant animatronic Krampus thing, and every 5 minutes it was holding a child upside down.
Yeah.
And every 5 minutes this child would just start screaming and flailing, and this
But
thing
it's
would
in
be
the
laughing.
middle. It's in the dead center of all of the vendors. So imagine the vendors that were working there for 10 fucking hours. Like,
I remember a couple of the vendors saying it was really
pissed.
annoying, especially the ones that were like right across from it.
I would say, because there's an artist right beside him, I was just like, this has got to not be getting old for you at all. Hey? And he's just like, oh no, not at all. Like, he's like trying to explain his art to people, and this thing's just like a child screaming.
Yeah, don't mind the screaming child next to me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool guests there.
Fuck. Yeah, there was.
So do you want to go first? Because you have the most exciting one in funny wise.
Okay, well, I was going to transition this into what we've been seeing, but I'm going to just talk about it right now. So, yeah, there was people there, like, so you had Staz something from Game of Thrones. I feel like such an asshole for that. But clearly,
Staz it had
literally
like
everyone else in Calgary apparently felt the same way that I do just now.
They put him right beside Meatloaf, who's one of the main, like, had probably the longest lines.
You'd think that, okay, so picture people who are thinking horror conventions. It's like Robert Englund for sure has the biggest lineup. So Robert Englund had a pretty big lineup.
Yep.
Meatloaf's was 4 times the size of that.
Oddly enough, had the longest lineup.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was Dee Wallace was there, Nick Castle, which I like.
But that Staz guy was right beside Meatloaf.
You couldn't even see his booth.
He didn't have a single person go by, I don't think. And
I bet he would have paid me to have a picture thing.
Yeah, I don't like that. Like but I get it. But I don't. It's so shitty because But the thing is, I would have liked to go up and talk to him.
Yeah, I'm sure
it's so interesting to talk to these people. But the thing is, like, you don't want to go up and be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Can't give you $60 for an autograph though.
Yeah. Ooh, 20, looking a little high even.
But no, yeah. And then you said Nick Castle, so we met Nick Castle. He signed my Halloween poster.
We had a hug, and I talked to him for a little while. It's hard not to fanboy sometimes, and it's weird. It's because like he's shaped so much. Oh, Mitch is gonna play. I managed to get him to talk on camera.
Hi, I am Nick Castle, and you're listening to The Terror Tale.
Like, so obviously if we were a legitimate podcast in any way, shape, or form, we would have rendered that down and tried fitting that into our intro or something, or did something fun with it.
Eventually I can do that.
Yeah, but in our fashion, I just pulled up our Instagram and put it up to the mic. I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah. So Nick Castle was super nice.
He was amazingly nice.
He had that delicious old man smell to him.
He was, yeah. We were trying to think of like who he is. Like if you think about him as not Michael Myers, like just as a normal human, like how you can relate to him. Like everyone has like that, that crazy uncle. He like, what the fuck were we saying about Nick Castle? But it was spot on. But basically, he's just the nicest man alive.
Yeah, I actually was watching I didn't finish it, but I was watching a documentary about like Halloween 1 and everything, and like Nick Castle was just a dude who was trying to be a director and came on to, and he's like, well what can I do?
Yeah, he went to film school with John Carpenter. Yeah. They're film school buddies, and that's it. Yeah, Nick Castle, and he wrote Escape from New York and The Last Starfighter.
Yeah, but like, the thing is like, he's just a hippie dude, is what I was getting at, is him and John Carpenter are just fucking hippies. Like they played in a band together and just played like funk.
I know, that's true. Yeah, but he's just like, the moment I got there, I walked up to his booth because there's no one there, and I was just like, oh my god, it's my time. It's my time to meet Nick Castle. And I walk up, I'm like, hey. He's like, hey, how's it going? I was like, it's so nice to see you.
Like you met him before.
And then he's like, oh, thanks. It's so nice to see you too. And I'm like, oh my god, Mitch, shut the fuck up. Like, I'm so bad at talking to people. Like,
mine was equally as bad because I got the photo op, so I got to get a picture of them because I needed to. Yeah. And he's like, they talk to you a little bit just to kind of calm you down as the photo's getting taken. As soon as it's done, I was like, I'll be seeing you soon.
Oh fuck yeah, that's
went around, got my photo, and then went and got him to sign it.
Yeah,
but it was just like, it was like me stalking the shape.
I know. Yeah,
I just
following him around.
Yeah, I just stood in the background breathing heavily.
I also love that you took a picture in at Hex, and you've made it like a regular routine in your day to like re-quote it or re-meme it, and it's two Michael Myers talking to each other, and Buzi. My favorite was my two last brain cells talking to each other.
And yeah, it's just two Michael Myerses, and they look so un-Michael. Like, there's like, I don't know, where do you want to go?
That's when I was walking past, I was like, guys, you're not supposed to be seen together.
Yeah.
Like, you guys aren't supposed to be walking together.
So there was a ton of people dressed up in costume, and that was also really cool.
Yeah.
They also had a drag show.
Yeah, that was cool.
What else did they have? The world's fattest contortionist.
Okay, so that was one of my favorite things, because
this is like something a drunk guy would think up.
Well, clearly,
but he like takes the show on the road.
I know, he's been on the Tonight Show.
Has he?
Yeah, like he's been on like America's Got Talent, I think, or something like that. But I'm like, yeah, it's literally just like a very, very obese man like doing the stretches.
Doing stretches, but he like does comedy while he's doing them. I have a video of him talking German.
Yeah.
And like rolling around, and then he like did a thing with a hula hoop. He like put himself through a children's hula hoop. It was he has a niche market.
Yeah,
and
he was developing a major charge
there. And there was weirdly like a lot of furries, and I've taken to like at conventions I'll try and get pictures with them. This is like my morbid sense of humor.
Aren't furries people who actually want to fuck other people dressed up like that? I don't think that they're actually furries.
They were in the full costume. You do not commit to that kind of a costume.
I thought someone was just dressed up as like the new Sonic or something.
Maybe, but all the other ones were legit furries, and they did not know what to do. And I was like, "Can I take a photo with you?" This like this heavily tattooed guy walks up and wants a photo with you. And then my favorite part was watching a furry watch a drag show, and I was just like, I never would have seen these things together in my entire life
if it weren't for Hex. Yeah, so that was amazing. But yeah, going on to celebrity guests, like I talked to Ted Raimi, just so everyone knows. I did ask him about all the Evil Dead rumors, and I guess as you could assume, he probably has an actual life outside of this stuff and doesn't keep up with his brother and what Bruce Campbell are saying. But there is no news. He couldn't share any news on Evil Dead. I was going to try and break some news here. Be like, he told me that Bruce Campbell is coming back. But no, he was incredibly nice. And I'm going to cap things up. Yeah, so we didn't actually get to meet Dee Wallace, but because she was there on the day that we left. But John and Darcy were nice enough to get a picture with her, and she signed your Howling Steel book, which is beautiful. Man, you're so lucky that you're going to have that Scream Factory Howling signed by Dee Wallace, Belinda Blasky, and Joe Dante. Like, that is insane.
I know. I had one small regret is that, like, Dee Wallace signed the shit out of that. Like, she took up so much space. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's great, but like, I don't want
Dante's spot.
Yeah, this is Dante's spot.
No, but yes, and she's looking great. She's sounding great.
Oh my god, she is my old lady crush.
Yeah, like she's your Arlene from Dragon's Den.
Yeah. No, like I thought about it as like, like I want to say like Jamie Lee Curtis or Sigourney Weaver, but no, it's fucking Dee Wallace.
A lot of that Nightmare on Elm Street cast was looking really good. You know who wasn't really looking good? So I met Jamie Kennedy. But honestly, Jamie Kennedy was so fucking nice and so funny. But yeah, he was totally spaced. But I can't blame him. But I was super awkward meeting him too, because you can make jokes. Yeah, everyone can make jokes because he's done some really shitty movies. But if there's one character I think I've ever related to in a movie, it's Randy Meeks in Scream. Like that character is who I became, unfortunately. And I did not miss the opportunity to tell him that. I was like, Randy shaped who I am today, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry. But he was, oh man, and when he took a picture with Courtney, it was the funniest. Have you heard this?
No.
He pulled her up, and he's like, I feel like an animal in a cage. You're taking a picture with an animal in a cage. Like, it was fucking wild.
He just let you into some like deep insecurities that he had, that.
And then there was an axe throwing booth set up, like where you could throw axes. And Jamie Kennedy, we were walking by, and I saw Jamie Kennedy throwing fucking axes. And he kept bombing. He was missing all of them. So I was like, of course, I can't miss my opportunity to take a video of Jamie Kennedy missing or throwing axes. So I pulled my phone out, and not knowing that I had my flash on, because I had to have my flash on because all the lights were off in that place.
Yeah.
And he caught me. So he did not like me after that. So I felt really bad because I was actually just like, how many times can you see Jamie Kennedy throw an axe?
So you've made two enemies now. You've made an enemy out of Mike Flanagan, and you've made an enemy out of Jamie Kennedy.
No, but here's my rebuttal to all this. So I fell down a Jamie Kennedy rabbit hole, followed him on Instagram and everything, and he's got some stuff.
You were sending me some weird shit.
Yeah, but here's the thing. He was on the Boo Crew, the podcast that I listen to. It's a horror podcast out of LA. They're on the Play Disgusting Network. Heavily produced podcast, but they got some good interviews on there. I like the show for the most part. I listen to it quite frequently. But they had Jamie Kennedy on this week. One of the best episodes I've ever heard.
Really?
And he was so good on it. He was so interesting and so funny and so entertaining. And I was just like, oh man, maybe he just got really stoned that day. Because, I get it.
Yeah.
But, I think that's what he did.
Holy shit. You made me draw a parallel here. Go on.
Yeah, well, because you understand now.
Yeah, well, now all I think about it as is at the carnivals and stuff, they have those ponies that you can ride around on, or animals you can hold.
Yeah.
And they always hear these horror stories about how they heveily sedate them.
Oh my God.
To work all day. That's what they do to Jamie Kennedy.
They're doing that to Jamie Kennedy.
Because there was reptiles there and stuff that you could hold, which me and Courtney and Tara did.
Did you hear me interrogating them about the snakes? It's when's the last time this one's eaten?
Yeah, but they probably do something for those guys to keep them calm. So then they're just here's a tablet for this boa constrictor, and here's 2 for Jamie Kennedy.
Yeah, they sneak it in Robert England's cheese in the morning, in his breakfast. Oh my God. Yeah, no, that makes sense. But no, that episode with Jamie Kennedy, I highly recommend people listen to it. He's super interesting, still so fucking funny, huge horror fan. And I love listening to him. And he has some really cool insights about the making of Scream. They talk about Scream a lot.
Okay.
And so if
Which I'm sure is what you want to get out of that.
Yeah, and that's why. And what I liked a lot about Jamie Kennedy is he knew what he was at Hex for. Mm-hmm. He knew he was there for Scream, even though there was a huge Son of the Mask picture up. But he knew that people were fans of Scream, so that was really cool to talk to him and meet him. The whole thing was a lot of fun. I know we all had a really good weekend. We learned a lot of things that we want to do from seeing what we saw there with our horror convention,
which is what we were there for.
Yeah, and we learned a lot of things that we don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really exciting that we got Dan on board. We got to meet Dan from the Calgary Horror Con
when he was available. He was a very
busy guy. Yeah, but I think having him on board, I think when we eventually get this off the ground, Saskatoon, we're gonna build something special for everyone.
Yeah, we're making it sound like it's happening soon, which is not. But we're putting in that work towards it.
Yeah, that's things we're taking our time to make it right.
Yes,
we're not gonna rush this thing out here. But the thing is, it's dude, it feels like yesterday we started this podcast. I bet you this convention, we're gonna blink and it's gonna be the day we're doing it.
Yeah.
But I'm very much looking forward to that. So I guess is there anything you want to add about Hex? You got tattooed.
I did get tattooed. Me and your sister. If me and your sister dated, we would be the worst because we would
Please don't put that image in my head.
No, I'm just saying we would totally push each other to do stuff.
I know, yeah.
Because right away she's like, I think I'm gonna get a tattoo, and my brain instantly went because I had no plans on that, and all of a sudden I was like, me too.
Yeah, that is how Courtney and I are. We enable each other.
Yeah, that's the word. It was we would enable each other.
Yeah, I walk by something completely useless, something that we look at our place. We don't have room.
You don't have wall space.
We don't have walls. We don't have any room. Walk by to something that's just minorly cool that has something to do with the Evil Dead. And I'll be like, oh, this is so cool. Courtney will walk by. Oh my God, you need it. You need this. Are you even a fan? Fucking Christ, pulling out the visa. But yeah, no, it was awesome. It was super fun.
Yeah.
So you want to get on to what we've been up to? So this is going to be a longer episode.
It is. It's going to be a lot of us talking about ourselves for the first part. So.
Well, yeah, and fuck it. Oh yeah, speaking of talking about ourselves, thank you so much to everyone who reached out about that last episode. It's been a hectic month. We've been trying to keep on track with everything, but it's been a while since we recorded one of these, and
I was really starting to miss it. I was missing it so much that I went back and listened to old episodes of ours.
Loser.
Not even as a vanity thing. Do other, like, I have to ask other people who have podcasts, do you guys ever just listen to one of your guys' episodes? Like, is that common? I know, Mitch, you've done it a couple times.
I have to. Well, the thing is, we have to because we want to. We just upload these things the minute they go up. That's why there's been so many times where we're like, oh, got to take it down because this audio's fucked.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I'll go back and listen to old episodes sometimes if I'm like, okay, you know, how are we doing at this stage of our thing? So I re-listened to our Christmas episode, and Diego was still on at that point.
Oh,
that was such a good episode, and I want to give you credit because I think I stole what you had said a little while later without realizing it when you had mentioned that Black Christmas is one of the scariest movies you've ever seen. You said that on that Halloween episode, and I remember saying it later on our show, and I was like, he's fucking right. I think Black Christmas is still one of the scariest movies
I was thinking about, because I was trying to think of some other cool episodes we could do where we don't cover just a movie, and I was thinking of like trying to actually pick like scary movies, but the thing is, like, I don't mean to sound like a dickhead, but like nothing does scare me. Like, I don't watch movies to be scared. It would be great if I actually got scared. It's a treat
when it actually does happen.
Yeah, but it's like, that's not why I watch horror movies, but it would be fucking amazing if it could. But like, if I were to actually talk about like the scariest movies of all time, I would put Black Christmas in there for me. Like, I think it's so fucking good.
For me, it is more than just a movie. Like, when you put it on, it becomes almost like a mood. Like, it fills the room.
It does. That's the thing that's so good about it, is the tone of that movie. It's just like, it's fucking hopeless. I love it. It's
also,
kind of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Same year too.
That's true. Just to segue in that, because that was my segue into it. I went to the Black Christmas house.
That's amazing.
I was in Toronto.
I love that. What did Jambi say? Is that the house from Billy Madison? That was fucking hilarious. But yeah, sorry. You went to Toronto. You went to the Black Christmas house.
I was on vacation in Toronto, and we were kind of figuring out, me and my girlfriend, what we were going to do beforehand. And that was like the only thing I wanted. She had all these great plans for all this cool stuff we're going to do, and all I wanted to do was go to the Black Christmas house.
Yeah.
That was instant. So we Ubered down to where it said it was. And where it says it is on the GPS is not actually where it is. You have to go into like this other. It's basically a gated community. Like, I'm without self-snitching, I kind of was trespassing. But yeah, I found the house.
Tekashi 6ix9ing yourself.
So like, and it's all like gated up, and there's like trees everywhere, so it's hard to get a great picture. But yeah, I got a picture of me standing in front of the fence.
Holy fuck, that is hilarious that you actually trespassed to get on.
I wanted it so bad.
Well, Seb goes to Toronto all the time for the comic expo there, fan expo, and we were talking about it because I think one day he texted me, he just said, fuck, I'm such a loser. I was like, why? He's like, I go to Toronto and I visit a curb twice. Like he went 2 times. He went to the It curb, but he got pictures like in front of the house from like Georgie and Bill's house. But he's like, yeah, I went the year before, and then I went again. That's just like, what's wrong with us? That
we're
think
a
it's so
special
cool.
breed of fans.
I know, it's so weird, but I would love to go to the Black Christmas house. And it's amazing.
I was so giddy.
Yeah, it's amazing how the perspective can change the look of the house, because the way that they filmed that house, and like, I love how the picture you got actually shows. I'm like, oh yeah, it's like, it hasn't changed that much either.
No, they didn't. Like, the actual structure itself has not changed.
It's updated, but it hasn't changed that much.
And it's definitely become very overgrown. The trees have grown way bigger since then, so it's harder to get a good picture of it. But yeah, that was my big thing there. And then we ended up on the last day, we went to the ROM, the Royal Ontario Museum, and the top floor, they always switch out whatever's going on as like a special event. I didn't really talk about this that much, but this year, because it's Halloween, they want to do something a little scarier. You know, 'tis the season. They had a Kirk Hammett display, and it wasn't about him. It was this display he had made of classic monster movies.
Oh god, I love his collection of it. Yeah, Kirk Hammett
he's a huge nerd
collection. He's obsessed with Universal monsters. That's why his guitars and shit. He has like his Boris Karloff.
There was a display of those.
Really?
Like, it was actually there. Yeah.
Fuck man, fuck. Do you have pictures of that?
Oh yeah, I do.
I would love to see those.
And they had a little thing set up when you first walked in, and it was this little circular thing you could stand on, and it shot red light up.
Yeah.
So in the background, it had the Frankenstein poster where it was like the face was silhouetted with red, and you could make your own, and you could take a picture with it.
Was there, like, you know, when you go into CD Plus or like any CD store and you could listen to music, like you try a CD, did they have booths where you could listen to Saint Anger?
What's that terrible snare sound?
Yeah, just hear the fucking trash can in the background.
There's a little corner where it just says
And
Lars sucks.
there's one room that's just Lars beating on a trash can.
Okay.
Fuck you, Napster.
The one weirdest thing that happened is I was standing looking at this stuff, and this guy starts talking to me, and he's dressed super eccentrically. Like, he has, like, the coiffed hair, and it's
You
white
met
at
Johnny
the top.
Depp?
No. This gets so much weirder. So he's like, hey, do you guys like magic? And me and my girlfriend are like,
yes.
I don't know. And this guy pulls out a pen and paper, and he goes, think of a number between 1 and 1,000. So I'm staring at him, and I'm like, okay, I got to give this guy
69.
something. So he writes down something, and I go, just to throw this guy off as much as possible, I was like, 499. Flips the paper over, 499. And we're just standing there going like, what? And then he pulls a business card out of his pocket and gives it to me. He's a fucking like famous magician and like illusionist. And it like on his business card, it said he's been on like America's Got Talent and like
Oh my God.
Penn and Teller and all that
Really?
shit.
Penn and Teller was the shit.
It was so odd. It was such a weird way because that was my last day, and like half an hour later, we had to like start walking to get to the airport. But it was such a weird way to end being in Toronto.
Magicians are the coolest shit ever, though. Like I love that.
I don't blame him for being eccentric, man. If I could do fucking weird magic, I would be so eccentric.
Well, that's my cousin does. He's like the main magician in Saskatoon here. And
his parents must be so proud.
They actually
Just fucking with you.
Yeah, but what's annoying is how successful he is. Like because he's also like a business mogul. Like, but it's unbelievable what he's accomplished. But he's so fucking good at what he does. And yeah, he's done magic on the streets of Toronto or Vancouver, and he did magic for Seth Rogen.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think about how weird that would be? You know, like actors or musicians, when they go home, they're just regular people and they have regular lives.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being a magician where, like, you know, if you're like dating someone or whatever, you're sitting watching, I don't know, let's fucking like Stranger Things. You're binging Stranger Things, and you're just sitting there twiddling your thumbs and like pulling cards out all of a sudden, and your girlfriend or wife's just gonna be like, "Stop it! This isn't you right now."
Yeah. Or like, you're watching Stranger Things or like Hostel, and you just start pulling a string out of your mouth.
Just as you're bored.
Yeah, just
instead of tapping your foot,
you start pulling out one of those like full tents, like, you know, when they pulled like the never-ending fucking ropes.
Yeah, or you know, like when you're leaving a bar, you and all your friends stand out front, and like a couple people are smokers or smoking, and everyone else is saying goodbye to each other, and this guy, you know, like his wife or whatever is going like, "Oh, here we fucking go," because it's like, does anyone have a light? And he just starts doing weird shit, and like, I have fire from my fingers.
Yeah. We're swallowing everyone's engagement rings.
Here we go again.
Yeah, come on, Dave. Dave.
Anywho.
Okay. Yeah, what the fuck were we on? Oh yeah, Toronto. Okay. Yeah. Anything else from Toronto?
That was about it. I touched a hammerhead shark. I think it was trying to bite my finger.
How the fuck do you touch a hammerhead shark?
They have this huge... Okay, at the aquarium, they have this huge tank, and it goes pretty much around the whole, like, inside of the building. Yeah. And there's hammerhead sharks in there, and there's stingrays and all this other shit. And the stingrays, if you put your hand by the water in a certain point, which they allow you to do, the stingrays will sometimes swim up because they like being petted, apparently. They're like water dogs. So you can like touch them and stuff.
Stingrays?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially their tails. Oh, man. Did you post on your Instagram where it was like you flipping it off and be like, this one's for Steve Irwin?
Yeah, I was flipping off a stingray. But anyway, I was touching one, and it swims away. And all of a sudden, this hammerhead shark comes up to try. I think it was trying to bite my fingers. So I moved my fingers for a sec and then was petting it after.
Oh my God. Man, that's wild.
Yeah, so that was my trip.
That's awesome. Sounds like you had a really busy couple weeks.
Oh, dude. I have blisters on my blisters. I walked for like 3 hours every fucking day.
Shit. Cool. Well, you want to talk about what we've been seeing? You've seen some stuff, hey?
A couple things. I'm kind of all over the place. I haven't seen that much, but there's two things I wanted to talk about. So
okay. I'll go, then you go, and then I'll finish it up. But I'm going to start off with a podcast. So I posted about this on my Instagram.
I like when we talk about like this is what I want Len to take to. This is what I like to talk about is stuff other than movies sometimes where like we can shout it like podcast. I love this. So.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't know. Like I have zero delusions. Like when people think like, oh, you're just giving them a better podcast to listen to than your own. I'm like, yes. Like there are way better fucking podcasts.
We're fucking regular people. This isn't
our podcast is bullshit.
Yeah, this isn't a business
I'm pretty sure we just spent 10 minutes talking about if we were dating a magician.
Yeah.
But no, Guillermo del Toro was on Visitations with Elijah Wood and Daniel Noah.
Okay.
Talked about them plenty of times already on this episode, but they're the guys behind Spectre Vision. This episode is extremely emotional. It was a really emotional podcast, but it was awesome. Any fan of Guillermo del Toro's, it's a must listen. And it's one of those things, though, where it was hard for me to not think about the stories that we shared last week. I was like, fuck's sakes, like I'm just a walking stereotype now because of this guy. But yeah, he talks about his early life, what led to him gaining weight, like his upbringing, and his cousin, and like his cousin was murdered as a child, and he talks about the effect that it had on him.
Jesus.
Yeah, he talks about like winning an Academy Award, his relationship with his father. Like the dude is just, he's lived an extraordinary life. None of that is a spoiler. It's just those are the things he touches on in extended form. So it's like, that's the kind of stuff that you're going to hear. So it's not like he's not going to just be talking about Shape of Water for 10 hours or something. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's pretty amazing. Every second that I listened to it, it just explained why I'm so attracted to his body of work and his body. But, but I don't know, like there's just something about his movies that connect with me. And then while he's talking on the podcast, I'm like, oh, that's because our brains, like obviously he's a genius. I am the furthest thing from that. But I like the way his brain works. Like it just works for me. Like it's something that intrigues me. And I think he's really, really interesting. And he also says, you
took notes about that.
I took a note because he says he had a statement that he said in this that I wanted to read on air because this statement connected with me more than anything he's ever said. He says, one of the things that I love most in this life is vacuum cleaning.
What?
He talks about like how he loves it, like he cleans his own house and shit.
Did he like do a review of like a Dyson?
No, but I was like, oh god, please talk about your vacuum cleaner because I love my vacuum cleaner. I love vacuuming. Vacuuming is like, I have like crippling anxiety, and when I'm having a meltdown or when I'm freaking out, like I get to the point where like I'm shaking and I can't, my whole body's on fire. I vacuum clean.
What the fuck?
That's like my new, especially now that I'm not fingers crossed I stay quit smoking. I'm 18 days. Holla. But if I stay quit, I'm just gonna be vacuuming the fuck out of this place constantly.
I don't even know how to fucking come back.
Okay, yeah, we'll move on from it. Anyways, listen to the episode.
I love vacuuming.
Yeah,
that's such
awesome.
a weird thing to be passionate about.
I love that Guillermo del Toro loves vacuuming.
Like I've heard of people being like really passionate about like gardening or some shit, but to be like, I love vacuuming.
He loves vacuuming, and I could just picture him just like that big motherfucker just pushing a dope ass Dyson. Or of course he's got in-wall, like actual real like central vac. All right, Buzi, what have you seen?
Okay, I wanted to give a quick shout out for this one. I actually posted it on our account the other day about Halloween Inferno, which a small film company put out this independent little short. I think it's like 7 minutes long, and it's like really well done. And it's basically what their version of what the next Halloween would be, like what Halloween Kills the story is.
So is Michael in it and everything?
Yes. Yeah. And it picks up directly from the very ending of 2018 Halloween.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and the reason I found out about this is where my nerdiness comes in. I'm in a Facebook group, and it's just people who sell Michael Myers things to each other. It's like a buy and sell just for Michael Myers stuff. People will post like, here's my H78 like jumpsuit. And they'll put like the prices, and people do like refurb masks and stuff. And one guy, he was selling the masks. They used 2 different masks in the short, and he's selling both of them. And he's like, if you want, you can check out this film. So I watched it, and I was like, this is incredible. They did such a good job. So if you get a chance, check it out.
That's really cool, actually, though, because I had not heard. I still haven't watched it, but I haven't heard a single thing about it. I haven't seen it on any websites that I follow.
It was released like when we posted it. It was released like 2 days prior, so it was so
it's fresh.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. Well, you got the exclusive here, folks.
Yeah. Definitely go check it out though. Like, give them a thumbs up on YouTube or whatever. It's super awesome.
That's cool. What's the weirdest thing you've seen on that website or on that Facebook page?
Ooh.
Like, is there any Michael Myers dildos or anything?
No, nothing interesting like that. One guy posted, like Wish has those Michael Myers masks you can get?
The really fucked up ones?
Yeah, like the really bad ones. He was trying to sell something that looked extremely like that, and the comment section was just fucking
savage.
roast. Yeah. It's like, That's how you incur nerd wrath.
Yeah.
Is if you post something
yeah.
like $70 for this, everyone's just like, you gotta be fucking kidding. And then
Yeah.
they'll just go in on them.
Just fucking get them, boys. Have at it. Okay, I'm going to talk about something that has been talked about ad nauseum. I've been wanting to talk about it for 2 weeks now, but because it's been 2 weeks since I've seen it. I went and saw Joker. I know you've already heard me talk about it a little bit. I feel like I need to. It's my responsibility to talk about it on air. But so Joker is like, he's my favorite villain of all time. Like right up there with Darth Vader, at least. Like, so I was hesitant about this movie, but excited because I love Joaquin Phoenix, and the trailer, I was like, this could go one way or the other. Like, I wasn't sure. Basically, I don't even know how to broach this movie, because this is the movie that's driven me the most nuts in the last like 3 or 4 years, of people just being so fucking wrong about it. Like, it's the most divisive movie I've seen in a long time, and the conversations, like, man, my tongue, like, my mouth is constantly I'm getting really philosophical for you.
Please.
My mouth is full of blood from biting my tongue.
No, fuck's sake.
No, but like, there's been so many times in comment sections where I've typed something out and I'm like, there's no point. You can't.
Do I want to do this
You can't
today?
yeah, there's like, I'm gonna end up spending a fucking hour talking to this fucking moron about who clearly didn't understand this movie, or didn't want to understand the movie, or didn't, like, they decided that they were gonna hate it the moment they walked in. I fucking love Joker. I thought it was awesome. It was it's without a doubt my favorite movie I've seen this year so far. But the thing is, I understand a lot of the criticisms. Like, I talked to David Hopkins about this. Like, he didn't really like it. And the thing is, I like talking to David about movies. He always has valid opinions. I'm like, yeah, no, you're not wrong about a lot of that. There's some stuff I'm like, I actually said to him, like, yeah, but you're wrong about that. But that's me being,
People love when you tell them that they're straight
I
up
know,
wrong.
I'm a pretentious piece of shit. No, but like, but no, like, of course I respect people's opinions too. Like, but then there's some people who just clearly went into the movie and been like, I'm going to hate this, or the whole thing about how it's promoting incels, and it's like an incel's wet dream. It's just like, shut the fuck up. Like, I can't wait for like 5 or 10 years when all of those people who felt that way about this movie are going to be looked upon as the same people, like how the people who blame Marilyn Manson for Columbine and shit like that. Like, the fact that we're still doing this, the fact that people are still scared of movies and blaming movies, and this time it's fucking Joker. Are you kidding me, you fucking idiots? Like, what? Like, I can't believe, and like, the world exploded because of this movie. But in natural fashion, it's been 2 weeks, nothing has happened, and all these people look like morons. But like I said, I understand it's not a perfect movie. I think realistically, this is a 3.5 star movie that I love like a 5, if that makes any sense. I love it like a 5. I gave it a 5 because I was like, that movie, like, it entertained the hell out of me. It kept me guessing. Joaquin Phoenix was unbelievable in that role. There was a couple times where I was just like, and that's the thing is, what I liked so much about this movie is there were like 3 or 4 times where I was pulled out and I was like, I didn't like that, or like, I was thinking, I was like, this is going to go south, or I don't like a decision they made. But by the end, they wrapped all of them up and they explained everything and made it better. And so that never happens for me. Like, I always like get my gripes while watching a movie and never gets tied up or whatever.
Yeah, and then you leave with this bunching of questions.
Yeah. But Joker, I was just like, no, they handled that perfectly. I was like, and all of my criticisms were handled, like, I don't know, and like, people are being very harsh. I think people have decided also that they don't like Todd Phillips because he's the guy from the Hangover movies, and apparently if you make a comedy, that means you're never allowed to make a serious movie ever.
No.
And that means he's unable to understand how to make pure cinema. And it's just like, shut the fuck. Oh my god, those Hangover movies look really good for what they are. And everyone was getting mad about him making those jokes about, or saying that he left comedy because of woke culture. Like, this movie has everything stacking up against it for people to turn on it, especially like nerds who want to hate things these days.
I know I really liked the point that he made, though, because I know I
agree with him.
Yeah, we've touched on that before, is that whole like woke culture really leaves no room to genuinely be interested or enjoy anything without having your
To be
grains
worried.
of salt, or or you're going to have 8 reviews where people are going to say it's not like this or that.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's the thing is I might take some flack for this. Or like people, well, not take some flack. People can disagree with me. It's cool. We all have different opinions. But I haven't seen a great comedy in a very long time. But that being said, like you don't need to be politically incorrect to make a great comedy. That's not what I'm saying. The best comedy I've seen probably in the last 10 years is What We Do in the Shadows.
Yes.
But we don't get movies like Forgetting Sarah Marshall anymore. Like
No, or like Superbad.
Yeah, super. Like we don't like that's like there was Booksmart, which is a good movie. It's fine, but it's you fucking people. That movie was not super bad. It wasn't like it's not trying. It's also a different type of movie and everything like that. But it's I don't know. We're missing that kind of. That's why I love Dave Chappelle's new stand up so much is because he just fucking let
He just
loose.
goes for it. Yeah.
And I was just like, man, it's so nice to just like see someone just not give a shit for a little bit.
It is honestly like a little bit of a weird nostalgia trip watching this. Like, oh, these are things that like I remember growing up in like let's say even 2002, where it was far less like PC culture.
Yeah,
where you could unleash a lot of these things, and he's doing it now when there's so many barriers you have to go through. And that's not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but it is nice to see somebody just off the cuff and raw.
I know. Yeah, I love it. And that's like going back to Joker even is that I can't believe this movie was made. Like it's so fucking bleak, and it's so like there's a message to it that if you're lazy, I like if you're lazy and you want to just accept the easy answer and like immediately blame it, like it's a bad message. But the thing is it's not trying to send a positive message.
Right.
That's the thing about this movie is that it's a realistic message that sucks to hear, but it's a message nonetheless. And this movie's about the mental health care system and like society failing people with mental health issues. And as a huge Batman fan, I could see, and I can understand how some people wouldn't like this interpretation of the Joker, because that's not who Joker is.
That's
everything
not what
needs
their
to
Joker
be dark
should be
and
talking
gritty.
about. Yes.
Yeah, and it's like, Joker's not crazy because he has mental issues. Joker's crazy because he's crazy and he's just like a genius. And I get all of those gripes. It's just for whatever the movie worked for me. I enjoyed this iteration of it. I liked the decisions that they made, and I think Joaquin Phoenix elevated it to the highest form it could have been. But I also, like I said, I don't think people are giving Todd Phillips enough credit. I don't think Joaquin did that performance on his own. I don't think that he came up with all that shit without Todd Phillips' help. And I think they made some really cool decisions. Some stuff's a little on the nose, but what isn't these days? It's a mainstream movie called Joker. They need to appeal to a wider audience. That being said, I totally understand why this movie isn't landing for some people. It is fucking pretty wild. But yeah, I don't know. Luckily, the world is such a short attention span, and everyone finds other things to bitch about so quickly these days. So like people.
Well, look how everyone forgot about Game of Thrones already.
Yeah, exactly. Like people are going to be over this Joker thing. It's been hard for me to be like, ugh. Like hearing people call this a bad movie, I'm like, are you fucking high? Like I know, yeah, I am, but like,
I don't know about you.
Yeah, but seriously, like I don't understand in what fucking world could we say that this is a bad movie? Like you can say you don't like it, and that's the thing is a lot of people are like so quick to say, well, it's just him. It's him trying to imitate Martin Scorsese and doing Taxi Driver and doing King of Comedy. It's like, yeah, you fucking idiot. Like, sorry, I love how I do that.
Fucking
idiot. No, but it's like 5 years ago when this movie was rumored, it was because the only reason this movie exists is because it's a Scorsese-produced Joker movie.
Yeah.
This is what we all asked for. Everyone was getting excited about a Scorsese-produced Joker, and then they're surprised that it got homages to Martin Scorsese. And it's like, what the fuck did you think you were getting?
It's that thing that you set it out to be?
Yeah, exactly. No, Scorsese's going to make a fucking Suicide Squad. Like, what did you expect? That being said, like, he does do, like, if you have King of Comedy fresh in your head, or Taxi Driver for that matter, he pays homage heavily, like, in the movie. Like, so there are almost direct scenes and decisions. And that's a part that I wrestle with where he did it a lot. So I can understand the gripes being like, how much are you just imitating someone else? But I think the way that he went about it, and like the type, though, like it's not like if this movie wasn't produced by Scorsese, I would hate those decisions.
Okay.
I think that it's clearly like an effort to pay respect to the man and his work, and also like offer that lens through this superhero world that this whole world is obsessed with right now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something new and brought something fresh to the superhero subgenre. So I loved it. I think it's extremely nihilistic. I think it deserves to be talked. Like I think only time is going to tell if this is going to be talked about in the way that, you know. Do I think this is the next Fight Club? No, but I think it could live next to it. Kind of like it's got the same kind of nihilistic message.
But you know, it honestly could end up turning around and being like that, because people definitely, not that I would be aware of it, but like people probably said the same thing when Fight Club came out.
Yeah, people get caught up in the hype instantly. Remember, man, everyone hated The Thing when it came out.
Yeah,
everyone hated The Thing. Like, imagine if American Psycho came out today. Imagine if that movie was released today. There's no fucking way it would be. But can you imagine the fucking backlash it would get? It's insane to think about like how these movies, like how much our culture and how everyone, like the sensitivity with everyone is just affecting everybody. And I get it because the world sucks right now, but like it blows my mind that they were able to make this movie, and I thought it was really, really great.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess I can stop gushing about that, but. Also, I'm sorry. Every time I say "you fucking idiots," like I'm joking. Like that's my.
I
sense
think
of
that's
humor.
like a quote at this point. Honestly,
I hope people
things
think,
that you say.
I know. I hope people know that though. I don't want to ever come across as like, why would I want to listen to this guy call me an idiot?
Yeah, I'm that fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I had one kind of question for you, because I was thinking about this a lot before we even got on air. You were saying Joker's a 5 to you. No, when you say something like that, do you take it in consideration with everything else you consider a 5? Or do you let that movie sit on its own pedestal and say, yes, that's a 5? And then if you put all the movies that you consider a 5 in a row, you can go, yes, they're all...
It's as good of a movie as this.
Yeah.
No.
Can you do that? Or do you go like, this is a 5 for what it is because of...
Yeah,
you know,
it's for what it is. Joker is not as good of a movie as Goodfellas.
Yeah,
or
like, when you say, because you always say your favorite movie is Jaws, or you have been lately. It's like your favorite movie is Jaws.
Jaws or The
is a
Exorcist.
5 in its own way,
Yeah.
as to where Joker is a 5 in its own way.
Is Joker Rosemary's Baby? Absolutely not.
Okay.
Like, absolutely not. But it's a completely different kind of movie.
Right.
But what I think why it's so high for me, why I give it such a high score is because I had a really good experience with it. Like the movie worked for me.
Okay. And that's the kind of stuff
clicked.
that
it clicked because I'm an incel. Like Courtney hasn't been doing anything, so.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like that's fucking people. Oh my god, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So the other thing I have on my, what have I done lately? It's not a movie, but I wanted to mention it quickly.
I can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this. I ordered a extended edition Halloween vinyl from Sacred Bones. They did a limited run. Like even John Carpenter was like pumping this thing.
That's the one where there's fire on it? Like flames? Yeah, it's a nice vinyl.
Yeah, and it's an extra 25 minutes of music. So instead of it just being a singular record with your side A and side B, it's A to D in 2. And it was awesome. I listened to the whole thing last night, actually, just to keep it fresh in my mind.
You are a franchisee's wet dream.
I am.
They know, they're like, if we can just lock this guy in, we're set.
Like if they had a stock thing and it was like going up and down regularly, and then all of a sudden I joined the party, and all of a sudden the stocks are just like up.
Yeah, exactly. Like you will support everything, even if there's a lot of bullshit in it.
Yeah. But the thing about like the soundtrack is it's such a solid sound. Even if it wasn't for Halloween, if it was for some random horror movie, it's like such a solid soundtrack.
It's really good moody music. Yeah.
It is. It's great. All the stuff that isn't even of course it has the original theme like 4 different times on the record, but the things that aren't part of that were made for this movie are not just as good, but they're on that same level of competence where like this is good stuff.
Yeah.
It's good shit. What else you got?
I got a chance to see 3 from Hell.
Oh,
So so we talked about. We haven't been able to talk about this, but we made a post about it and everything. Rest in peace, Sid Haig. I don't know if you have this.
I had that news, but yeah,
okay, but we can talk about like we've talked many times on here. Clearly, everyone knows we are not Rob Zombie fans, but both of us have said before how great Sid Haig is in those movies and how
it's not
definitive
on his. It's not because of him that we don't like.
No, absolutely not. Like that, if there is something we do like about Rob Zombie's movies, it's him. Like, and that's like Captain Spaulding is an iconic character for a reason. And it was sad to hear of his passing, and you felt it through the horror community. Like you could tell that was just that was a massive day, like a massive blow for the horror community. So rest in peace, Sid Haig. But yeah, obviously, like we've made it clear, I'm not a fan of these movies. But personally,
we always, when we talk about Devil's Rejects, are always fairly nice to it.
Yeah, well, I definitely think Devil's Rejects and House 1000 Corpses are him at his best, and I understand why people like his stuff. It's just not for me. But with that being said, I thought 3 from Hell was fine. Like I didn't like it, of course. Of course I don't like this. Like, it's not made for me. But I'm an idiot and I watch everything. And even though I just feel like I need to see it. I wasn't expecting to like it. But I did think that for what it was, I was like, I don't understand how you could be a fan of the first 2 and not like this one too. Okay. I feel like it's very much on par with those other 2. It's definitely, I think it's light years better than 31 as far as like a competently made film and like how it actually looks and the overall acting in the script. Like obviously those are all things that I don't like from Rob Zombie, but it's
how was the dialogue, by the way?
Well, it's the same as the other ones where it's
has he not learned anything?
Bill Moseley has epic lines. Like he has a couple like amazing lines, and then there's just a whole bunch of farts around it. Like I just
fart clouds.
Yeah, and I don't know, like that's what Rob Zombie movies are to me. So maybe I just don't get the movies. Maybe they don't click with me, and
they're for a smarter audience.
Yeah, exactly. I think so. I'm just a fucking idiot. But see, I call myself that too. Yeah. But I just don't get, like, I went back and read the review about how it diminishes the first 2. I'm like, I don't know if I understand that. Like, to me, they're just the same fucking movies. Like, I don't know. So I think if you're a Rob Zombie fan, that you don't need to worry too much if you haven't been able to see it yet and you want to. I personally, I know you got to take this with a heavy grain of salt coming from me, but it was okay for a Rob Zombie movie.
So I'm assuming that means that a lot of people who really do like Rob Zombie are going to like it a lot.
Yeah, but I'm seeing so much hate from Rob Zombie fans, and that's why I'm like, what is wrong with you people? Like, or what is wrong with me? Like, I don't get it.
Where do you guys all meet in the middle? I don't
understand you people. Yeah, like, how can you guys love all of like Halloween and Devil's Rejects and 31 and then hate this? Like, it's the same thing.
I'm probably just going to say, like, I will eventually watch this. I wasn't ever planning on running out to see it. But the one thing I keep coming back to is, like, it feels so unnecessary. And from everything I've heard, because I have actually asked a couple people about it. Okay, so that's
true. Yeah,
is it the whole thing of being unnecessary. And it's like, how do you come back from Devil's Rejects and make a competent story and all these characters are there?
Well, yeah, Sid Haig, I think most people know by now he's barely in it. Like, I think he's in the first minute of the movie. And then they introduce Richard Brake, like his new character. He's the guy who played Doomhead in 31, that we really like him.
Yes.
And he's, in Batman Begins, he's the one who kills Thomas and Martha Wayne. But yeah, he's a really good actor.
He is.
Yes. They just kind of, he's locked into the Rob Zombie world now. I'd like to see him outside of it.
He's got that weird Rob Zombie stink to him.
He does. He looks stinky, hey? He's got that stink to him. No, he looks like someone who would be in a Rob Zombie movie.
Yes. That's what I was getting at.
Rob Zombie stink. Yeah, but did you have anything else, or should I just keep going? Okay. I also watched In the Tall Grass.
I've been meaning to watch that. Is it any good? Okay, because this one's a lot like 1922, where it just comes out on Netflix.
Well, it's a Netflix movie written by Stephen King and Joe Hill.
Yes.
So father-son duo.
That's where I was relating to the 1922 thing.
And it's directed by Vincenzo Natali, who is the director of Cube and Splice. Which I got to watch Splice again.
I forgot about I know.
I got to watch it again, because that was a very memorable theater experience.
That's Adrian Brody, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Adam Brody.
I remember that being awkward to watch. I went to theaters to see
I
that.
did too, and there was only 2 other people in the theater, and I remember they were complete strangers, and we got up and were like, what the fuck? But yeah, this one is 5 people and 1 child are trapped in what seems to be a never-ending field of tall grass. And it's also got Patrick Wilson. You can feel both King and Hill's voices in the script and the ideas, and Natali was clearly the choice for this type of for a movie like this. I felt like it's a decent Netflix movie, and I'm sure a lot of people liked it more than I did, but I wasn't really crazy about it for the most part. It's one of those movies. Yeah, I am.
There's a reason it's on Netflix and not.
Well, no, because like I think I can understand why a lot of people would like it, but for me, it deals with certain things that I just don't connect with, that don't work for me, and they never do. And that's why there's some really good movies, or there's some movies out there that I know are very beloved. I don't want to say anything because then it'll be a spoiler, but there are things that deal with this theme that is in this movie that I know people love, and I just don't like them because I don't like that type of storytelling.
I wish I knew what you were talking about.
I think you will enjoy it, or you will get some enjoyment. Actually, I don't know. It's a complete toss-up if you're gonna like this, because that's the thing is, like, I think Patrick Wilson's gonna also drive you crazy in this movie, because it's one of those movies where it feels like everyone's in a different movie.
Yeah.
And like Patrick Wilson especially, like there are times where it's like, oh, he's Jack Torrance now, but then it's just like, what? I don't know. It feels kind of like a lot of like trying to make a greatest hits of both of those writers, and you can feel it. I don't know. For me, it didn't really work. I didn't really care for any of the actors, but I do like Patrick Wilson, but I think he was in a different movie for a lot of it. But I personally can't give it a glowing review, but
would it have been better if Thomas Jane was in it?
Yes.
Thomas Jane is Stephen King guy.
Yeah, and Thomas Jane is Mitch guy. I love Thomas Jane, but I could also see him being that. It would have been just as just did. I didn't like it.
One other question I have for this, because this is the typical Stephen King question.
Yeah.
Is there aliens?
Why would I tell you that? I'm not telling you that. That's a complete spoiler.
Well, you can just like blink twice.
They
don't have to hear it.
Let's move on. I got a couple other things I'm going to touch on. I showed Courtney From Dusk Till Dawn for the first time, so I'm just going to be quick about this one because I want to hammer through these other ones so we don't go too long today. But I fucking love From Dusk Till Dawn. I don't know when the last time you've seen it before.
It's been a long time.
It's a movie that if anyone out there is listening and it's been a while since you've seen it, you got to watch it. Or if you've never seen it, you have to see it. If you don't know what it's about somehow, please watch it. Like, just going fresh. Like, that is the one movie where I'm like, man, I wish I could show someone who has no clue what this movie's about From Dusk Till Dawn, because the movie changes completely halfway through, or like almost more than halfway through. It turns into a completely different movie, and it is just amazing. I don't understand people who don't love this movie. I think it's genius. It's meta. Tom Savini making up vampire logic in order to be in order to be able to do even crazier effects work is hilarious to me. Like, Tom Savini made himself he was written as an action icon in the movie or something. Like he's your generic fucking like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that in the movie. Like, he's just
Seagal.
He's Seagal. He's kicking ass everywhere, and he's explaining, like, their bodies are mushier. If you punch them, you can take their head clean off. So it just like, he opens up the doors for him. He's like, all right, team, go hard. Let's fucking douse this place in blood.
Let's get these mushy head bastards.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, now we can do so much crazier things with practical effects. And like, they're so good. There's so many good effects in this movie. There's also, this was 94, I believe. So there was like, they were doing some of that post CGI bullshit where it's a little rough, but for the most part, it still just looks awesome. I love how intentionally cliche all of the characters are. Like, the movie's just hilarious. The first hour of the movie is just constant setup of how badass the main characters are, just to make you explain, like, okay, these guys are the baddest of the bad. And
they're the baddest of asses.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you're going to get to see them fucking just tear shit up in the end. And then, like, I just love how Savini's character, and then, like, when he says his name, he's like, what's your name? Sex Machine. His name is Sex Machine. Like, oh, it's a great movie. Great movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, check it out.
How do I let everyone know I take home trim?
Yeah, exactly. I'm Tom Savini, for fuck's sake. Going on from that, two things on a lighter note, I'm going to finish off on. I finally got around to watching Goosebumps 2, Haunted Halloween. Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if you started it or something.
I think I did start it.
I think you started it and then you were going to finish it, but I don't know. I love the first one. I'm a big fan of that movie.
I think we all, yeah.
Yeah, we all really enjoyed it. I love all the monster and Halloween imagery in this movie. The designs and the effects of some of the monsters are pretty cool and everything, but for me it's just this one is just, it's a little too innocent for me. I don't know, this one really felt like a kids movie, and I get it is a kids movie, but this one
is like a step down even from the first one.
Way more. I think it's a deep step down. I think it's missing an even slight edge. Like, it just needed something to, it felt very, very innocent and pure, and I didn't.
Yeah, now that you're talking about it, I do, because there's something about they find a slappy.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it was written by the PTA. Like it feels like if your parents all got together when you were a kid and they're like, "Okay, let's write a movie for our kids."
And like one of the parents had read a Goosebumps, so they vaguely understood lore.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just not. I didn't like it at all. Never gonna watch it again. Last thing I'm gonna talk about is one. So I was planning on going to see Zombieland 2 this weekend because I don't know, it's a new horror movie.
Isn't that funny that movie just kind of came out?
But also we've been talking about, because I think I've always said, yeah, I liked Zombieland. Like, when it came out, I liked Zombieland, but I wasn't really stoked for a second one.
Yeah, in other words, I wasn't itching for another one.
Yeah, I think you said, "Who gives a shit?" Kind of.
Well, it does feel like a bottleneck story. I didn't need more.
Then yeah, you would say, you've said multiple times on the show that you're not really interested, but like, you'll probably get around to it.
Yeah.
So I rewatched Zombieland, and the movie is fucking awesome.
Is it?
Man, you have to rewatch it, because while I was watching, I was like, man, it is insane that Buzi isn't crazy excited for the second one, because I think it's been a while.
I don't know where I was at when
the whole zombie fatigue is taken over in a strong way. But man, this movie is fucking just purely entertaining. And Courtney and I were losing our shit laughing. Like, it holds up, and it's so much fun. So I really want to go see the second one. I've seen some really great things online about it, but I just don't know if I can make it out this weekend, because last weekend was crazy. But yeah, I loved Zombieland, so I'm looking forward to checking out the second one. But if you haven't seen it in a while, give it a rewatch, and I really want you to give it a rewatch.
If I'm gonna watch the second one, I'll rewatch the first.
Yeah, but because there's a couple lines I was like, man, this there are times where I was like, it feels like it was written for Buzi. But then I get it, because then there's also characters in there where I'm like, oh, that's a thing that would piss Buzi off.
I love that you're looking out for my best interest.
Well, I am, because I had it fresh in my head there. I was like, yeah, Buzi's. I know that you're not, because whenever I'm thinking about watching horror movies or something, obviously I'm going to think about you, because we talk about all the shit on the podcast, and I think, like, would Buzi like this? But Zombieland, I was like, man, this is a movie that Buzi would fucking kill himself over.
I know that's something I've never addressed fully, but I do appreciate it, because you always do that. It's like, you probably wouldn't like this.
Well, you're impossible
I
to
respect
read.
that.
Yeah.
I'm like, perfect.
There are things where I'm like, I know that if you went into this with an open heart and open soul, you would thoroughly enjoy it, Buzi. but there are times where just like, there's no way Buzi would like this.
I feel kind of bummed, because this year I haven't been as like gung-ho as previous years.
I also know when you're gonna, I know, like, there could be a movie that's announced that we know nothing about, and I'll know that Buzi will love it just because of what it's called.
Yep. But like, that's the thing, is that ever since, and I know where this comes from, ever since that Black Christmas trailer, I've written off the rest of the year. I'm just like, fuck it, whatever.
Man,
which is a bummer.
It sucks. It really sucks, because like, there's nothing, like, I'm most probably Color Out of Space is one I'm really that, and Lighthouse, like, I so badly
Lighthouse I think is a big one for me.
But we got to be careful, because I've heard it's like extremely fucking weird. Obviously, it's extremely weird, but I think
it's totally our shit, though.
I know,
but at the same time, like, I want to go to Black Christmas and be so pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, but that'd be great. It doesn't
happen. Doesn't feel like
it's not going to happen. Okay, yeah. Do you want to talk about some news?
Sure.
All right. So, Buzi, could you please hit me with some motherfucking newsies?
Kapow. Feels so weird hearing that music after it's been like a little while.
I know, we gotta get. I love how every time we're like, we're gonna drop episodes every Wednesday. Yeah. and then we also say like the next 2 weeks we're gonna do these movies. Nope.
That life gets in the way. Where it's not like I think those bigger podcasts make a bigger effort to do that because they have like a huge fan base or like maybe get paid to do that. Whereas we're just kind of like whatever, we're living our lives.
We're living our best lives.
Yeah, and then we'd have less to talk about if we weren't living our lives.
Can you imagine if this was our best lives?
Oh no! It's just podcasting was.
Yeah,
this is the high. That's like being one of those fucking YouTube streamers. This is it. This is the big times. All right, first piece of news. Jamie Lee Curtis has already done filming her scenes in Halloween Kills, which is fairly early still in the filming process.
Maybe she's fucking toast first thing.
I'm interested. Oh God, are they going to do a thing like Resurrection?
Where she kisses him?
Yeah, then dies.
I would oh my God. All I know is that the guy from Fright Rags was on set.
Yeah.
And he posted this big thing about telling people to be nice.
Oh.
So, like, as far as, like, don't be pissed off when you go see the movie and be a dick, because a lot of people are working really hard on it. But also, like, I feel like they're probably going to be taking some... Actually, you know what? I said that about the other one, that they're going to be taking some big swings, and they didn't take a single fucking swing.
Maybe this is the one that does that, though.
That'd be cool.
Because you can look at it two ways: is either maybe Laurie dies, or Laurie goes, "I can't live with this anymore," and leaves. Just like move somewhere far away.
I heard that's what Rick does on The Walking Dead.
Yeah, just
on his last episode.
Yeah, just like fakes his death and leaves.
Oh my God, that would be so shitty. It's like, yeah, cameras can't go where she goes. No, can you imagine if Laurie Strode killed herself though? That would be the absolute worst. I'd be so fucking mad.
After what they set up in the first one.
I'd be so fucking pissed off.
Next thing coming up, Stranger Things season 4 has already begun filming. Doesn't it feel like Stranger Things season 3 just came out?
Yeah, but they need to be filming it because these kids are growing up
too fast.
Yeah, well, even how different they look in from season 2 to 3.
Yeah,
like season 3. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Oh God, I can't wait. I want more.
I know you're gonna have a little
on that. Yeah, but you're gonna have such a good time in a couple of years when like the hype dies down and you can just sit down and watch Stranger Things. Because you would love it.
I watch season. Eventually, I will sit down on a couple weekends and watch like season 2 and 3. And
You've
be
never
like,
seen season 2?
Okay. I haven't seen season 2.
I'm a little worried because I think season 2 is the weakest one.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've just seen 1, so my whole experience in that is just whatever happened in that
but season 2 has some fucking awesome moments.
Next up, Stephen King's house has become a retreat for writers and also it doubles as a museum. That's super cool. I would love to go check that out.
What would you write in his house?
I would write my Guillermo Mitch fan fiction.
Just write, like, bring a marker and write in the bathroom on the walls.
Someone's gonna 15. You know, like when people post their weird shit, like
Your
for a good time,
gay.
for a good time, call blah blah blah. Mine would just be the whole story.
Yeah.
David Duchovny has been cast in the Craft remake.
Yeah, so this is something I did read, and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I have no idea what to expect from this movie. Like, obviously, I don't have high hopes for it, but like, David Duchovny? Like, what's going on?
A random reboot with David Duchovny. Like that shit kind of writes itself.
Yeah,
because
I know.
That's going to divide people right away. Like, oh, that sex maniac.
That was one of my... Yeah, it's like Californication, but this time he's got like 3 witches.
3 bad witches.
Yeah. That's my favorite thing that you do is you'll pitch something, like someone will just say something and you'll say that's a pitch for a movie. And like, because we were talking about how John had to help out at Hex. He was asked to be a celebrity assistant.
Yeah.
And they said that he was probably going to be looking after Jamie Kennedy. And you're like, that's a buddy cop movie I'd like to see. Or no, that's a buddy cop movie I'd like to see. John and Jamie Kennedy. Jesus, I can't talk.
Like they're like Scooby-Doo and Shaggy.
Yeah.
What we do in Shadows season 2 has also begun filming. There's a lot of these in here. It's something's begun filming. I still haven't finished all of season 1, but it was awesome. It was awesome.
It's so good.
It's very funny and it's very on the nose. Like that kind of humor is the shit I love.
Did I say that when we were talking about? Yeah, like What We Do in the Shadows is the best, and that's a pretty clean movie for the most part. Like there's some racy humor in it a little bit, but it's not like offensive.
Yeah, I think it's that like mundane tongue-in-cheek humor that really is the good quality stuff. Because you can see a lot of times where like even TV shows or movies, when they reference things that are happening currently, so even by the time that they come out aren't as impactful, and then the farther you get away, kind of like scary movies, as they care. I think 3 is the one I can single out for sure, where they like made fun of Tom Cruise with the couch thing, and it's just became such a bottleneck of the time. It was a time capsule.
Scary movies. I don't know how we got into that, but Scary Movie turned into like, it wasn't even about the scary movies anymore. Like they were like, why was Dr. Phil in there?
It was like a really long SNL skit, and
one that didn't land ever.
Exactly, and now you're looking
at
it.
It's like a new SNL skit.
Yeah, because there's some of the references in there. Unless you were watching it in like 2004, you have no fucking idea what they're talking about anymore.
Man, do you like the Scary Movies?
No.
Yeah, I remember I went back like semi recently, and I remember being like, this is just fucking bad.
I feel like the first one might have some redeemable qualities, because
like
you get where they were going, but after that it just...
I still quote the second one though when I'm at work. I'm like, I use my strong hand.
My strong hand.
like that was funny, but like they have very... Oh man, like what the fuck one where they do it? Sorry, this is the tangent cast, but like which one did they spoof? 8 Mile. Like why was 8 Mile in
3.
Scary Movie?
That was 3, because they were spoofing like Saw and a bunch of other things.
I hate the world.
War of the Worlds. That was the one where they did the War of the Worlds, which was the only funny part, was the whole door handle thing. Do you remember that?
No.
Where he's like, open the door, and he clicks it, and then he's doing the lock and unlock. He's like, don't click it until he's like, I'm not even gonna get in.
Yeah.
Terminator Dark Fate has another trailer come out, and we finally found out that it's got that hard R rating. And the more trailers I've seen for this, the more excited I get. And I think when we first saw trailers for it, you and I were both really iffy about it.
Yeah, I was like, my chub wasn't even at half mast.
Yeah, and the more and more I've seen stuff come out for it, it's like, oh yes, James Cameron did actually put himself and his version of the Terminator franchise into this film. It's not just a film where his name's on it.
Honestly, I'm more enthusiastic about the fact that Tim Miller's directing it. Like, I know you didn't watch Deadpool, but like the violence...
I've seen Deadpool.
Oh, you have?
I haven't seen 2, but...
Oh, Deadpool 2 is fucking awesome. But like the violence and the action in those movies is what's so intriguing about it. So that's why I'd like to see him do a Terminator movie. So I have faith that it's going to be pretty good, but you never know with it. Like, it's just that the franchise is cursed.
Yeah, because you also have to look at Terminator movies as who's your main bad guy, because that's something that usually, like before it makes John Connor's their liquid Terminator. They love their liquid T-1000s.
I love it. It truly does make or break a Terminator movie.
Yeah,
the villains do.
Terminator is kind of like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
You have your heroes and you got your Arnolds and everything.
Terminator is Arnold, and then the second one is fucking the best. I can't believe I'm drawing.
That's like a buddy cop movie.
Yeah.
What's his name? I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
The kid's name.
Edward Furlong.
Yeah, Edward
Furlong. He's back in this new one.
Is he? No.
Yeah, he is. Apparently he's in it. And that's why I'm most curious about that.
Can we get That's what we need. We need an Edward Furlong Assance. That's what I'm down for.
Yes, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. But we gotta bring him for the convention. For Pet Sematary 2.
Also, The Grudge remake has a hard R rating.
Yeah, and that one I'm also really curious about, because that the thing is, they've been pushing this one back constantly.
That has Lin Shaye in it, right?
Yeah, but it's directed by the guy who made Inside, I'm pretty sure, or Martyrs. Or it's I got to look this up here,
because the more I hear about it, because when I obviously when we first heard the news, it was like, really, we're doing The Grudge remake.
Eyes of My Mother.
Yes, that's why we're excited.
So, that's why it's like there's a chance. There's a chance it could be good. He's our age.
Is he really?
Or he's my age. That's fucking depressing.
We're pretty close to the same age. Yeah. We got our first trailer for 3022.
What the fuck is that?
It's a space horror movie. There's a crew on board a ship. We're gonna fucking love this.
Really?
Shit.
I haven't seen anything about it yet.
A crew aboard a ship, and they're up in space doing their thing, and they see like Earth, their planet, explode, and all of a sudden they're the last people alive. And it just goes through, all of a sudden everybody becomes, because I think there's only like 6 members in the crew or whatever, and all of a sudden like that paranoia and that fear takes over. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, producer of Cheap Thrills.
So yeah, like the trailer's out for that, so if you haven't heard or seen it, go check out the trailer for 3022. Looks like an awesome space horror film. We always love our space horror.
Yeah.
We love our underwater horror. We like anything that kind of spoofs
Does
either
this look
the
like
thing or Alien.
I know nothing about this, Buzi. Does this look like kind of like a VOD movie, or is this going to theaters?
I think it's probably going to be VOD, but
Yeah,
it
Omar
doesn't.
Epps and Kate
It doesn't
Walsh.
look like it hits that, like, you know, when we talk about like VOD budget. It looks like it's a little bit better than a VOD budget, but
Kind of like a Cloverfield paradox. Mm-hmm. No, November 22nd, 2019. That's quick.
yeah,
Okay. Quick.
like you'd mentioned before, 3 from Hell. Very interesting how they put the movie out for a very short amount of time, and then right away you have the physical copies. I was with my coworker the other day, and we were checking out movies, and he's like, 3 from Hell's out already? It's like, yeah, they did a very interesting... the way they went about how it came out so quick, they did a very short amount of time in theaters, and then bam, you got your physical copy right there. There are certain movies where I would love something like could you imagine if we got to see Crawl within like a 2-week span, and then the next
I
week
would have bought it right away.
we had the physical copies. Also, it's out. Did you get
I
your
know,
copy?
I didn't yet.
I haven't got my copy yet. I'm looking for the Blu-ray to maybe go down a little bit in price, and then I'll grab it, because they always do that, like 3 months after. Because I always pay full price for all these movies, and then later I'm like, I could have got it for $12.
And Black Friday's coming up, and that's why I'm planning again, like Child's Play and Midsummer. Even though I don't even really like Midsummer.
I gotta get Child's Play.
Yeah, I want to get Child's Play, and I'd like to get Brightburn. I liked Brightburn.
I saw Brightburn actually is at Walmart fairly
Yeah,
cheap.
I want to watch it again because I remember. Yeah, I don't know. I liked it.
Next up, rest in peace to Robert Forster, who passed away at the extreme age of 78.
Yeah, he's in El Camino, which I watched. And that's he plays a pretty big role in it.
And he did a lot of like cult stuff earlier in his career.
Twin
Like he
Peaks.
was in Alligator.
Yeah. Twin Peaks is like I'll always remember him from that.
He was also Maniac Cop.
Yeah.
Delta Force. He's in a bunch of weird shit.
Yeah, he was an awesome actor. That sucks. Brain cancer too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck.
Fuck cancer.
Fuck it.
HBO's picked up a Maniac Cop series from Nicholas Winding Refn and John Hyams.
He's been wanting to do this for a long time. I can't believe he's getting to do it now. But if it's going through HBO...
I was going to say, you have a certain level of quality when you're on HBO.
That, and I'm excited because someone can keep Nicholas Winding Refn on a leash. Like, that's what they need. Like, because he's an incredible director, like, with Drive and everything.
Yeah.
He just needs someone to keep him on track. Like, that's what he needs. He's like a guy, he needs a Bart collar.
I was going to say, do you know those backpacks people get for their kids where their kids are complete terrors and you can tell? Because it's like a rabbit on the back, but it has a leash.
The leash, that's what they need from
That's what they need for him.
Yeah. Or one of those hangover backpacks where they put him they carry him around on their chest.
Like they're fucking Yoda. Nicholas, don't do that. We got our first trailer for, I tagged you in this. I don't know if you actually looked at the trailer. Animal Among Us.
No, I didn't end up watching it. Sorry.
Okay. The buzzwords for you, Friday the 13th and Dog Soldiers.
Yeah, so explain.
It's these people go to this camp that they're not supposed to be at, which is your Friday the 13th aspect, and there's werewolves out there, and they have to survive from these werewolves at this camp. Mm-hmm. So Friday the 13th interchangeably with a different monster.
Does it look good to you, though?
It looks fun.
Okay, because you're like, I'm in, I guess.
It doesn't look great, but it looks fun.
Yeah. Okay.
If that helps. I don't want to say anything bad about it, but you can definitely tell I'm not expecting like it's not going to be in our Dog Soldiers.
No.
And then the last piece of news. Oh, I got a couple of pieces. Super interesting. I didn't realize Sony confirms PlayStation 5 will be arriving holiday season 2020.
That's insane.
That is insane.
It feels like yesterday I got my PlayStation 4.
I can't believe that 4 is already the old system.
I know. Like, what are they going to do to a fifth one? Like
what can they do?
Yeah, everything's cordless now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Also,
it's a fridge now.
It'll dispense ice randomly.
Yeah. It dispenses Mountain Dew.
Also, Last of Us 2 is coming out soon. I believe that's right after Christmas, or is it right before?
Yeah.
That looks super fun. No multiplayer, so they just focused on the single player aspect of the game, which is why you play those games. Nobody bought The Last of Us to play the multiplayer because it sucked.
No, but I know people who played a lot of it.
I didn't think it was that great.
No, it sucked.
So that's pretty much all I got for news. Oh, I do have one more piece of news. Because I don't know how I got onto looking at this. We had another review on iTunes.
What?
Yeah. This is on August 14th of this year from Zachary 007. I'd love to know who Zachary 007 is.
Yeah, I don't even know Zach.
The team is great chemistry together, has a lot of fun, and provides a lot of great information on new and older horror movies. So thank you, Zachary 007.
Thank you.
You're our favorite secret agent.
You're the golden gun. You're the
Yeah.
you have achieved the golden gun.
All right, you ready to get on to our main feature?
He's the only guy who can play his odd job. Remember the rule that no one could play his odd job?
He's got that fucking hat and he's short. It's not fair. Do you remember
fair.
tossing that hat at people?
Yeah. Oh god, that was the best. God, I love Goldeneye. Okay, let's go on to our main feature, which is going to be on Neil Marshall's Dog Soldiers.
One of the most explosive, brutal, and purely enjoyable horror debuts since The Evil Dead. Genuinely frightening. Jaws, Aliens, and Predator with a werewolf twist. Absolutely brilliant. Thrilling. Exciting. Scary.
I don't scare that easy.
And funny.
I'm sold.
A horror film with bite.
You are.
Sold! I'm in the closet! A bitch of a werewolf movie. Waiting! Dog Soldiers. It'll blow your house down.
What's up, you spooky bitches? We're back for the back for the main feature presentation, in which we're going to be talking about Dog Soldiers, which was written and directed by Neil Marshall. So Buzi had suggested that you had suggested to do a mini Neil Marshall retrospective. Obviously, he's only done 2 movies in the horror genre, but they're 2 movies that have had a semi-profound impact on the genre. So we thought that they'd be good ones to talk about.
Yeah, like we're going to be talking about mostly his early career because that's where we're stuck in. But we can also, our next episode, we're going to kind of go where he's gone from here. So this is the more interesting in terms of like horror stuff, is the earlier talking about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And this was his directorial debut. He had helped edit, and what else did he do? He did some editing and some writing for another film, but this is his first directing credit.
Yeah.
So he did film school, he did some freelance editing, and then he hit this. So that's why we don't have to talk a ton about his earlier career, because, he basically hit it off with a bang. I find a lot of horror directors will do smaller things that don't gain a ton of traction, then hit big. But like, this is his first thing, and he just fucking came out swinging.
Yeah, and I think we'll definitely get into our history with this movie right away here, but I just want to say, he's just a guy who was born in Newcastle, England, and since then, we've talked about what we'd said, he's done a lot of TV. He's worked on the Lost in Space TV show, Black Sails, and Game of Thrones, and Constantine, and Hannibal. He's done a lot of stuff in TV. He definitely has a distinct voice that you can see throughout his movies, but I want to talk about if you can see it at all in this one, because this was his first movie. So it came out in 2002.
Yep.
It is, I'm just going to pull up the IMDb synopsis. As a routine military exercise turns into a nightmare in the Scotland wilderness. So this is a movie that I saw, it went straight to DVD. It wasn't a wide theatrical movie, obviously. Yep. It's a glorified B movie of sorts, but we'll get even deeper into that, because I don't know if you consider this fully a B movie. But it's a movie that I avoided for a long time. I saw The Descent way before this. I didn't see this movie until you and I started talking, because you had recommended it to me. And because I always thought that the cover for it, I was like, that would be terrible. I just thought it would be horrible.
I thought you'd seen it much earlier.
Oh no, I didn't even know it was a Neil Marshall movie at that point. All I knew about Neil Marshall when I saw that, after I saw The Descent, I knew nothing about him, and I was like, oh, that movie was fucking fantastic and phenomenal. And I think that's one of the, if not, it's definitely high up there in one of the best horror movies of the last 20 years for me. Like,
and extremely effective.
Yeah, I think, and I guess it is divisive. I always thought that it was just kind of widely loved among the horror genre, or, horror community, but I've talked to a lot of people who don't feel the same way, which is totally fine, but it's just, they connected for me and you, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, so I was interested in watching Dog Soldiers, and you recommended it to me about 4 or 5 years ago, and I watched it finally and was pleasantly surprised. This was only the second time I had seen it.
Okay.
So I don't have like a strong
you don't have the same kind of bond, I guess.
No, because like you consider this to be one of your favorite movies of all time, hey?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so for the most part, this conversation's going to be heavily on you.
Okay.
But so I saw it for the second time. And like this movie has got Liam Cunningham, who plays Sir Davos in Game of Thrones. He's also in Clash of the Titans and Centurion. Centurion
is always so serious.
Yeah, he's always that guy.
He's like a fantastic actor.
He is a good actor, but he plays. Actually, he's quite different in Game of Thrones than this. But he is always serious. He's always like kind of pissed off. Kevin McKidd, who Courtney knew from Grey's Anatomy, is one of the main characters. He's also in Trainspotting. That's where I knew him from.
Oh yeah. Yes, he was. Okay, yeah. I do know about him being in Grey's Anatomy. Okay.
Yeah, but this is, it's like a lower budget. Do you know how much this movie, like, we didn't do any research on this. We just fucking walked in here.
I think we do a better job when we talk about films as we see them.
Yeah, right? I definitely don't want to be that podcast that does a bunch of research.
No.
I'm just curious now, thinking about what the budget was. $2 million US budget. That's pretty fucking insane.
Yeah.
That's insane that they made this movie for $2 million. Wolf Cop was made with $1 million. I know you haven't seen Wolf Cop still, but that blows my mind that for double, Neil Marshall managed to make a movie that feels quadruple the size.
Yeah. As we go on, we'll talk
20 years ago.
Yeah. Well, as we go on, we'll talk about how he does things to save budget and trim things to make it look a certain way while feeling a different way. And I think that's one of his strong suits, is he was working within the confines of what his budget and what his story was.
Yeah.
Because if you threw like, I don't know, let's say like 15 million at this movie, it could be balls to the walls. But I think the sometimes subtlety of it in this, because of budgetary restraints, you don't get to see the werewolves a lot.
What's the word? The restriction breeds creativity.
Yeah, it totally does.
And that's some of the very best parts of this movie is, I'm jumping a little bit ahead here, but I think when you start seeing, I don't love this movie.
Okay.
But I like it I like it a lot. I think it's a really good, it's a good, fun werewolf movie. And I think it's actually a lot smarter than it gets credit for. I think it's funnier than it gets credit for, and intentionally funny. It's an intentional horror comedy, and definitely a horror comedy, not comedy horror. The horror comes first. Yep. They're very heavy on the horror, so those parts work very well.
The humor is so dry.
It's so dry, and that's what I like about it. But the thing is, the first half hour of this movie, I think, it's a mess. I think, like, it's just it's kind of like a slug to get through. But then once like the werewolves show up, like that's when it feels like Marshall really learned. It's like it's like where he saw his first obstacle he had to get over, where he's like, okay, now I have these werewolves that clearly aren't real, but he has to make them scary or make them effective. And like in the editing and the way that he shot it, that's when you see him turn into a really good director. That's what I mean, yeah. And that's when you see him turn into a really good director. And like he does that throughout the movie. Like it's pretty inconsistent. You can see like The Descent, in my opinion, is a far superior movie, but you can see this being the groundwork for what he's capable of doing with more. And this is a really, really solid first movie. And you know I love werewolf movies. Like I do really like this movie, but it's like it wouldn't be like top 5 werewolf movies for me. But
okay,
I want to know why this is your favorite werewolf movie and why this is one of your favorite movies of all time.
Okay,
because you saw this when it came out, hey?
Pretty close, yeah. And I'll have to kind of retreat to some earlier things to get where I'm going, but just follow me with it. So my first big exposure to werewolf movies. I've always loved werewolf movies. I don't know why, but it just felt like one of the first movies I ever bought, and I've mentioned it on here, is The Howling. And I loved The Howling. And this was way back when Rogers Video was still open. There's one right by my house. So I'd always wander over there. And the cover for... Huh?
McKercher?
Yeah.
I remember exactly where Dog Soldiers was. I stalked it all the time because I worked at that location. And I even remember when it was on the new release wall, like in 2002.
Yep.
I remember where it was sitting. Like, I remember which shelf.
Fuck. My memory, I do remember where it was as well. And it's like, it was in a far corner. And I just remember it stuck out instant because I would always wander over to the horror
And now
section.
I love the cover. I thought the cover was shitty back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, the DVD cover. I have the DVD now, which I got roasted for online. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But I love that cover now.
It's very basic. It's very
I just think,
straightforward.
well, especially now, and I know you're going to talk about the werewolves, but the werewolves look fucking awesome.
Yep.
But
And I think a movie like that needed that because it isn't a super high budget, but they wanted to go like, hey, our werewolves look good. You know how many covers for werewolf movies shy away from showing the werewolf?
Or they show a different werewolf.
Whatever's on the cover is not what's in the movie. The Howling later on gets really bad for that.
Yeah.
But I saw it on the shelf and I had to rent it. So I rented it and I remember the next day I came back and there was another one for sale and I bought it. Like I have my original DVD still. But just watching it and like me growing up as such a huge Aliens fan, you can see how much of this is taken from movies like Alien. You can see like a little bit of like Assault on Precinct 13 in this movie.
You can tell he loves action.
Loves siege movies.
Yeah, siege. Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? He does the werewolf stuff right. And whether, because I don't know a ton about Neil Marshall personally. I haven't listened to a ton of podcasts with him on there. But I don't know if he talks about how much he loves werewolves. But it felt like everything he did with those werewolf movies, he was following the rules of what your typical werewolf would be. Yeah. And we were okay with that. It wasn't the Wolfman thing. It was more of the... like Howling, like we said before, or
the walking on the hind legs thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was more of your.
And you prefer that, hey?
Yes, 100%. I don't like the Wolfman wolf.
I like all Wolfman. Like
you love all of the Wolfmen?
Yeah, like really. I even like.
I like American Werewolf. That
American Werewolf in London is my favorite by far.
Yeah,
that's it's perfect.
So watching
completely different.
This is one of the only werewolf movies I've ever seen where. Instead of it being a straight-up horror movie, it's got all this action. It's people, like, fighting werewolves. Yeah. But not in a corny, like, Underworld kind of way.
But they do take a lot from Underworld, actually. Like first of all, the design of the werewolves. I think the designs of the werewolves in Underworld are awesome. The first one, I fucking love those werewolves. I think the design in this one, the werewolves look so good in this movie. But... there's one scene where they're like trapped and they're starting to shoot out the floor so they can drop and it's like, oh, what's her name, fucking Celine. No, that's Catwoman. Celine does that though in Underworld, where she shoots the ground and then drops down, but she does it like all like ultra sexy and
I wonder if they did that as like a joke, but I think this movie came out first, didn't it?
No, if anything came out the same year actually. I think 2002. I'll look up when. No, Underworld would have been like 2000. Oh my god, I was looking up Ja Rule on IMDb last time I was on IMDb.
Okay, I've heard people talk about Ja Rule twice within 2 weeks, and it's both been you and Courtney.
It's a big time. Hey, it did come out first. Underworld came out the year after.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking that. Yeah, but yeah, this is such a different story for a werewolf movie. That's something you really enjoy, and I do agree with you that kind of up until they get into the cabin, the movies actually I'd say
the siege is where it takes off.
Yeah, like I would say when they're in the woods and they're doing suppressive fire and moving back, you ramp up and you're like, okay, this is really cool. Or when it's like on top of the vehicle when they get picked up and like the hand coming through and them sawing it off, which was a funny scene because they're like, it's like a joke, like something scary's happening and they're like cutting it and all yelling at each other and stuff. Like this movie does such a good job with the comedy that it's interlaced into what's happening in the story and it never bumps away from what the story is.
This is such a dude movie.
Oh yeah,
it's like Predator. Like I can see the comparisons. Like people do compare it to Predator, and I understand that.
I feel so much of it being like Alien
and Predator.
Yeah, but just for the fact that I guess I can see what you're saying with Predator. But
those are like the only movies that I will give a pass on POV shots from the creatures because I fucking hate POV shots.
Me too.
Except for like it's funny in Anaconda when it's like the lens is like Snake Islands. Like that's funny. But like I like in Predator because then they have the heat sensors, like heat seeker. But in this, it's just black and white. And I don't know. It's because the movie's treated with a level of humor, but it's like. It's so not forced humor at all.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't ever feel like a joke fell flat when they would like, if they said like a one-liner and kind of winked at the audience.
Yeah.
I never felt like that was there. I found it reminds me so much of Alien with like the soldiers and the soldiers and dog soldiers all get along really well. And it's not just people being so like I feel like they have a little bit of dynamic. They're making jokes with each other that doesn't come across as how a script would sound.
No, it feels authentic.
Yeah, when they're like, you believe the one dude fucking loves footy. He loves his footy.
I know, and that's why I thought like there's so much shit in this where I was like, oh man, Buzi would shit on this if it was in another movie. Like, it was like missing the football game before this.
I like
that was
that.
a terrible impression.
I'm happy that they had like personalities.
Me guts are out, blimey.
Yeah. But the very first shot of the scene, or this movie, I really like the zipper with timing with the tent zipper.
I was thinking about that's got to be something that definitely read so much better on paper. It's still cool.
I think it's interesting.
It's cool, but like I can imagine if that would have been filmed even better, or like how Neil Marshall, if he were to film it today, it would be way more effective. But it's a cool little gag, the zipper gag. I remember.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned from werewolf movies, like I'm pointing directly at Bad Moon with this, don't have sex in the tent.
No.
Don't have, because like a werewolf's going to come in, and Bad Moon goes all out with that as an opening, and this one's a little more subtle. You don't like, see any creatures. No,
but this is like kind of like a fast compilation version of Backcountry.
Yeah,
like it's real quick. But yeah, it's I wrote that down back to what you were saying about the camaraderie feels so authentic in this movie, and that's one thing that makes it effective is that you actually buy all these people together.
You believe that they work together and have a level of friendship together. It's not we're a bunch of cool men. I don't know why I'm singing that, but I can't remember the villain. Okay, who's the main villain guy? That's our Game of Thrones guy.
Yeah,
correct?
That's Liam Cunningham.
Yeah. I found his character was really good and always really tense, but sometimes felt weird because I think there was like that internal battle of him being like, am I a werewolf?
Yeah, and he like it annoyed me how he still acted like he was in charge. Yeah, when it's like, dude, you're clearly not in charge anymore. Like,
well, I think that's you're supposed to think he's a prick the whole time. Yeah, and this is a rare movie where a dog gets killed, and I like it.
Oh, I don't, and I was just thinking.
No, I don't. I don't like it's like.
Oh yeah,
I don't like movies where dogs get killed.
Yeah, but
like
we also talk about how The Thing is
like
one of our favorites. Yeah, and Jaws
and Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween. Like all of our favorite movies have dogs getting killed. But the thing is, I was fully prepared to turn on the movie if he killed a dog twice. Like especially that scene where he's like about to kill another dog. I'm like, fuck off. Like, nah. But yeah, there's so many like just funny like machismo one-liners there in this movie. Like the me guts are oh blimey. But I also love where he's like, dogs more like pussies. Like,
oh, what was the other one? If Little Red Riding Hood comes in here with her teeth out, chin the bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that, chin the bitch.
Yeah. Or I hope I give you the shits.
Yeah. I thought that was a fun. That one character, Spoon, I think is his name, Spoonie. He is the Hudson of this movie, and you can feel a lot of those template characters.
He's the Brad Marchand of the group.
Yeah, well, even the main guy who has his guts coming out. He's like your Apone from.
Oh man,
Aliens.
I love that scene where he's just like, my guts are out. And he's just like, don't worry, we'll put them all back in. And he's like pushing it back.
It won't fit. Like, of course, it won't fit.
Yeah, it won't fit. And he's trying to hold his guts in there. I'm like, fuck, this is outrageous.
So that's mostly what we want to talk about. Is the point of what this movie is the whole siege element. So you're getting to the house, and that's when they start sprinkling in a little bit of backstory, and I think they do it in a very interesting way where they don't right away find. Are we spoilers? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't talk about spoilers.
Let's talk about spoilers now.
Okay. So when they get to the house and there's all the elements of like, oh, these people are living here. There's a family living here, and they keep showing the family picture. And then as the movie goes on, you realize like, oh, that family's the fucking hairy beasts outside. Yeah. And you learn more and more. I thought that backstory was kind of interesting.
It is interesting. Yeah.
But this is what this movie is about. It's flash and awe. You have all these characters and they're all connecting and they're all shooting at werewolves the whole time, and that's where it gets really fun. I think one of the funniest scenes in this movie is such a small scene that I think people probably would miss on the first time, is where the one guy gets the shotgun pulled out of his hand and he ducks. The werewolf shoots back into the house and throws the shotgun back in.
Oh yeah.
Like shit like that.
Yeah.
It's like that small element of like, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, that you can see that Marshall's quick. Like he thinks quickly in those action sequences.
It's kind of like, how can you spice up this scene so it's not just shooting.
Yeah, what's so interesting about the movie as a whole is like looking at it as Neil Marshall's first movie, because you can see how like, even though like I know I said I watched Hellboy, we don't need to go over it again. I didn't like the movie.
We'll kind of talk about it next episode.
Yeah,
obviously.
but even like the game and I know we'll talk about the Game of Thrones thing and everything, but it's just seeing how he can what's the word, orchestrate like an action sequence. It's pretty amazing how he was able to do that so early on with almost nothing.
Yeah, well, you think about a lot of times that whole idea of like stupid action movies. Yeah. There's a way to craft action movies to make them interesting on multiple fronts, and I feel like he dips it so many times in this,
and to still respect the audience's intelligence.
Yeah,
and that's what he's definitely laughing with. We're laughing with him. Like, we're not laughing at this movie.
Yeah, because he could have just done a thing where like, oh, what's that sound? I'm going to go shoot over here. I'm going to do this. Yeah. There's all these quick scenes that people are talking to each other, all this happening. And there's humor in it. Like they're like, we're in a fucked situation. And they're laughing because they make that, the one character, I think it's Spoonie again, makes a comment about how it's like the Zulu warriors and all that shit. Yeah. Like 100 versus 1,000. And it makes you feel those stakes in the movie. And then they actually have things that they have to accomplish when they do the whole sequence where they have to get there's another vehicle in the garage, and they have to set up how they're going to go about getting that one, and it involves having someone be bait and all that stuff, and that's also where you see him use those budgetary constraints where that turns into all the POV stuff, because you very rarely see a full werewolf in this movie because they don't look like, there's one time where you see one
awesome.
They do look really awesome, and it's like the one scene where you see a full one where he's standing
like
inside.
How tall they are.
Yeah, where he's standing inside, because he used dancers for that. It's kind of the way that Alien did, where they had very long, lanky people doing it. And because I watched this movie with the director's commentary on before, and they said that was a big part of it, that they got these dancers to be werewolves, is that they kind of have like a whimsical, like they move their hands and stuff, and you actually do, if you watch the movie multiple times, you'll notice that the werewolves it looks kind of like they're like casting little spells. They're like,
I know, I like their hands.
But you never see a full shot, and you don't want to, because it kind of ruins a little bit of that. The werewolf is supposed to kind of like sneak up on you and scare you. You don't want to see a guy getting chased around a house in the dark with a werewolf. It wouldn't have looked as, do you know what I mean?
Totally.
I think he treats certain scenes very well. When you do see flashes of the werewolves, they're quick.
Totally.
And that, I think that helps, because the whole movie is centered around how these guys can't track them as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also cool to note that I think he's still listening. We have the producer of Dog Soldiers is a Terror Table listener.
He was at one point. I don't know if he still is, but that was super cool.
Shout out to Brian O'Toole. So
Brian Patrick O'Toole.
Yeah, and his name's in big credits. And watching this movie, I was like, hey, and I talked to that guy.
Such a small world, hey?
Yeah, it is. But I talk to him all the time, or like, I don't talk to him all the time. He always posts good shit on Facebook.
Yeah, and I keep harassing him about if he has any stuff from the original, because he says he still has some stuff from Dog Soldiers, but it's like away because he'd moved. Yeah, I'm like, unpack that. Like, I'll buy it off you.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm a part of. You could start a Dog Soldiers forum.
There you go. So what didn't you like about this, Mitch? Because I know
it comes down to, it's just the overall human aspects without the werewolves just isn't interesting to me, and it's not it's not entertaining enough for me to like be so in love with it. That's why I really do like this movie, but I'm definitely not in love with it like you are.
Yeah,
but
and I think a part of that is just from me growing up
Exactly,
with it. So
exactly.
I
You
have that
have an
lens
older
on it.
connection. Yeah, you have an older connection with it. But I definitely have a lot of respect for this movie and everyone who is involved with it. It's definitely one I'm going to watch again multiple times. And I think it's one that if you're a werewolf fan or you're a fan of action horror movies or horror comedies, this is one that you got to watch. And I think we have pretty much said everything that needs to be said about. We don't need to keep blowing this movie because we do. It's clear we love it and it's great. I wanted to talk to you about your favorite werewolf movies other than this, though.
Okay.
But I want to finish off the Dog Soldiers conversation.
The other thing I'd like to mention about Dog Soldiers is when we talk about next week, kind of where Neil Marshall went after The Descent and moving forward, you can kind of trace elements in this film that you can see where he's going.
Totally.
Because the last section of this movie turns into very much an action movie. And you go from having these peripheral characters all of a sudden become kind of action movie stars. Yeah. Especially your main guy goes from kind of being like a regular Joe dude, and he just kicks it up more of a notch. And then by the end, when he's having there's like a boss fight at the end, he's like spitting out one-liners and all this stuff and just kind of being a badass, where you can kind of see that Neil Marshall wants to make action movies.
He does. But what I love so much about Neil Marshall too is that in his stuff, like even in Game of Thrones, like his stuff is so brutal. Like, that's why you can even give him. I can give him credit in Hellboy. Even I know that a lot of that. I know he hates it, and it's overall not really his movie. From what I've gathered, it was taken away from him.
And that's what I heard as well.
Yeah, like I know that it definitely did not turn out the way that he had planned, and it wasn't the movie that he was wanting to make. But there are moments in it where I'm just like, I could see what he was probably going for before it got taken away from him. And yeah, like you see that even in, I don't know if you've seen Centurion and everything. It's a decent movie for what it is.
Okay.
And the episode Blackwater of Game of Thrones is one of the most memorable episodes of the whole series. Yeah. And I think, he's incredibly talented with a camera. I really want him to go back to horror. But I don't know if he's going to, because he's really into action shit. Like he's rumored to do another like a Kong sequel. Okay. And I would love to see him do a movie in the Kong universe. Like I think he'd kill it.
You know, recently I can't remember. I think you and Courtney had talked about it. Is that they're making another installment in the Band of Brothers? Series. Yeah. I feel like he would be perfect for all that. I think he does a good enough job with establishing characters and bringing that action element. Because like.
He always does stuff in different time periods, so it would be cool to see him take on like a World War era.
Yeah, because I think him or somebody like
that's going to be awesome.
Maybe it might sound like a stretch, but I think him and like David Fincher could make a really dark version of like Band of Brothers that you would really enjoy.
Yeah, well, those guys can just pretty much make anything and we'll enjoy it. Like,
yeah, but like, there's a certain level of like, just because I keep going back to like the Band of Brothers thing, there's a certain level of action competence you need to have with those stories, because I'm sure
they can get old so quick.
Yeah,
like there's so many war movies.
They could make a war movie where you care a lot about the characters, because that's Band of Brothers. You care so much about those characters.
That's why that movie's, and same with Saving Private Ryan and shit like that. But like, think about, do you remember it was post 9/11, which when it was just non-stop war movies. Like We Were Soldiers, Wind Talkers, Black Hawk Down. Like it was just constant fucking war movies.
Because they needed that hoorah after.
Yeah, but like Jarhead, it was just like, fucking Christ, like the world's got to have something. Like everyone's complaining about the superhero stuff, which I think I get it, but I'm like, remember when it was all war movies? Like I do not miss that. I love war movies, but like Band of Brothers, like there's so many. It's so easy to make a bland war movie. It's so, and like, you know, like, but then you have something like,
but don't like encapsulate. Like I think Black Hawk Down's fantastic.
Oh, it is great. No, it's great. I named off all the best ones. Yeah, like those are actually really good movies. Same with like Band of Brothers is like one of the greatest pieces of television. Yeah. Like that straight, like a whole series is incredible. But yeah, like Neil Marshall, like the guys like this, it's about finding how to make it entertaining to watch people shoot guns for an hour straight. Yeah. Because like otherwise it could just be like a loud noise. It's just like watching just insanity.
Yeah, if you're not choreographing what you're doing well, it just leads to nonsense.
Yeah, it's just nonsense, and it's just you're looking at just madness forever, and that's not entertaining.
And that's what we talk about when we talk, like the way you're describing that is how I feel about Transformers.
Exactly. Perfect example.
It's action, and you can see that it's action, but there's so much, and it's not focused enough.
You're just looking at like things moving.
Yeah, like, it's explosions, bullets, yelling, and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah, you can't follow anything, and it's just like after a while, your brain just goes numb, and it's like that's not entertainment.
Yeah.
But like when you can keep someone invested in something when you're technically doing the same thing over and over again, that's, I think, pretty powerful filmmaking.
And it kind of, so this movie ends on a high note, and we have a dog survive, which is great.
A cute doggo.
Very cute.
They're all cute.
And pretty much, I remember ever since I had a computer, I'd always look up stuff for either a sequel for Cloverfield or a sequel for Dog Soldiers. And sequel for Dog Soldiers was in talks for so long, and it was going to happen. And, you know, it eventually never happened, and I think it's something we'll never get.
No. A script exists.
A script does exist. But whatever, you know, it's unfortunate, but I think it's fine that there's not enough.
Yeah, this isn't that movie, I don't think. No. It's not the movie
but then again, like, we got sequels to The Descent, which Neil Marshall didn't want.
Yeah, that makes zero sense. Well, I guess it makes sense because it made money.
Have you seen 2?
Fuck no. I know. I own
it.
I know. I almost watched it one day. I posted. I think I was I was just talking about The Descent on Facebook, and you made me promise not to watch it.
Yeah, it's not. Ugh.
Yeah, I've heard it's pretty rough. Isn't there a Descent 3?
I think there is too. Honestly,
maybe. I don't even know.
But you know what? Like, I can definitely endorse and say this is an awesome werewolf movie. If you like creature monster movies, this one's fun. It's an action movie, and it's got blood and guts and all that good stuff. Yeah, I guess let's talk about other werewolf movies we like.
So you like the kinds of werewolves where they're on their hind legs, but because you're one of those guys that you decide that you like something, and then that means that you're not allowed to like the other version. Like, that's just like what you do. And I'm like, man, but there's so many great werewolves out there. Like,
okay, but it's like if you had to pick between like apples and oranges, I'm gonna make that choice, and I'm always gonna ride or die.
Man, the Werewolf in America, Werewolf in London cannot be topped.
No.
It can't be topped. That werewolf is just perfect. That's for sure my favorite.
Favorite movie or favorite version of werewolf? But that's the reason that like The Howling and that movie kicked off me liking that style of werewolf.
Yeah.
So by the time I watched some of the ones where he's doing a little bit different things, like, you know, it doesn't do it. The classic idea of what Wolfman isn't that exciting to me.
Really, yeah. And for me, like, my top 3 werewolf movies are American Werewolf in London, the classic 1941 Wolfman. I love that movie. I do like that one a lot. And honestly, a movie that I don't really like the werewolf designs, but I love the movie as a whole, is Ginger Snaps. And I know you...
I love the... one...
You like 2 more than 1, but
yes.
I still think 1's the best. I like 1 the most. But the werewolf design in it isn't as good, because it just looks slimy.
2 I find looks a lot better.
Yeah.
1 looks like a mole rat.
It does, yeah. It looks like slimy.
Yeah, and I think it's funny.
But it's like the movie itself is just awesome.
Yeah, but it's funny is that the reason I like 2 so much is because it reminds me of Dog Soldiers. It's a siege movie.
Yeah.
But like Howl was awesome.
Howl was cool.
I don't particularly love the designs, but such a fun
movie.
movie.
It was different. Also, it's same with Late Phases.
I was about to mention that Late Phase. That one I haven't seen in a while, and I want to go back.
I was thinking about
because
I own it. I was thinking about pulling it out today.
Bad Moon.
Bad Moon's a favorite. I love Bad Moon. Like, it's a bonkers, stupid movie, but I love it. And yeah, The Howling. I love The Werewolf in The Howling, of course.
Yeah, Howling. Actually, semi-recently I found this out, is that my other favorite Howling movie actually has like a cult following, and I didn't.
Howling 5.
Yeah, I didn't realize that people actually really like that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, and I haven't seen. I also haven't seen Howling 2.
I've seen all the Howling movies, and they are not great.
I've heard Howling 2 is like by far the worst.
It's pretty bad once they get into the later ones, and then they did like a reboot in like the mid 2000s. Like I think it might have been 2010 actually. It was really, really bad.
Do you go back to do you like any of like the Hammer werewolves movies, like Curse of the Werewolf or anything?
I never really got like exposure to that because it was never something on or that I could easily get.
I was thinking we should do a series on Hammer horror movies and let Daniel just choose them all
and just tear us apart the whole time.
Well, it'd just be like, hey, which one should we do?
I would love to.
I've seen a lot of them, but like I would like him to choose the ones. And
I have no problem watching old movies. I love.
Well, like I just love Hammer movies, and but I love Curse of the Werewolf. That one, I love the werewolf in that movie, and yeah, I don't know.
What about Wolfen?
No, I couldn't get into Wolfen. Same with I used to love Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Yeah, and that movie is just dog shit. Like it's so fucking bad.
You know,
what was the one I was just thinking of? Keep
I was gonna say the one that I showed you that I can't remember if you really liked is Whir.
I liked a lot of Whir, and I hated the ending. but I liked everything else about it. I remember
That movie reminds me a lot of like budget wise to like Dog Soldiers, and nobody's heard of it. Honestly,
Yeah.
like I don't know many people who've heard of Where.
I know, and it was directed by the guy who made The Devil Inside,
Yeah.
which is like the worst movie ever. One of the worst fucking horror
But
movies.
it's so well done.
But where is pretty interesting. Like it goes in some really cool areas. I did like. I remember that's what's frustrating about it, is I liked it so much, and then I didn't like the direction it went in the end. But there was parts of it that I was just super on board for.
I know I'm gonna be kicking myself after if we like go off air, and then I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, I forgot about this werewolf movie,
Yeah,
but I
me
can't
too.
think of any offhand.
I know, but like even like the Monster Squad, like I don't know, like the Monster Squad werewolf's pretty goofy looking. Like he kind of looks like a muskrat.
Well,
or something.
there's a werewolf in Goosebumps.
Yeah, I like that werewolf.
Yeah,
too.
actually,
yeah,
that's
it's
a
dope
surprisingly good one.
Yeah.
So obviously you and I are fairly
We love
large
werewolves.
werewolves. We love our werewolves. We love our sharks. We love Sasquatch.
Yes.
What else do we love? Basically any monsters.
Yeah, and the one that I've noticed that you don't have a lot of love for, and I think I didn't realize how much love I had for them until recently, is vampires. I think we should do a vampire series eventually, because I think there's a lot of vampire movies that you would really like.
I'm hit and miss on vampires. Yeah, like I like when they're kind of like monsters, like the
Like
30
Fright
Days
Night.
of Night
Yeah,
kind of
and
deal.
Fright Night is the best, but
And like we got to do some Bela Lugosi.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
shit like that.
totally
Like Nosferatu is so fucking. They had a
Yeah.
whole display at that Kirk Hammett thing.
Oh, that'd be
and
awesome.
Nosferatu is just terrifying with how it looks.
I know Nosferatu. Yeah, he's just totally.
So yeah, we're kind of ending off with Neil Marshall right now. Is he just finished this? Next up, we're going to be doing The Descent next week.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about how he ramped up his horror elements and his filmmaking, and then kind of like where he's gone since then, because he's still a very prolific filmmaker, but
Yep.
it's not in the genre we love him for.
Yeah, but definitely The Descent is one that this is an episode that we needed to do eventually at some
Yeah.
point. So Halloween seems like a good time.
Yeah.
All right, so we're logging out today. So you can, once again, we're presented by the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. You can check them out at saskpodcastnetwork.ca or on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us at the Terror Table everywhere.
If you
Facebook,
haven't,
Twitter,
yeah.
Instagram, yeah. And keep in touch with the Saskatoon Fantastic Film Festival. Please come out to the screenings if you're a local here, if you're in Saskatoon. Let people know about the screenings on October 24th and October 25th. Once again, that's Halloween on the 24th, The Evil Dead on 4K on the 25th. And yeah, we're going to have some really cool things coming up here.
Halloween is also going to be in 4K.
No, it's not.
No?
No,
Okay,
we're not getting the
standard
4K one.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, we got super cool stuff coming up. We'll be back next week talking about The Descent. So
Yeah.
stay spoopy.
Bye.